It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
All right, Buzz Babies, episode 14 is kicking it off strong tonight. Look at all these talented, beautiful, awesome people we got in the house tonight. All of these guys have crowdfunding campaigns live right now, and we're going to talk about them, and I'm going to cost all of our listeners a ton of money because there's no way once we tell everybody about the awesome comics that we're here to talk about tonight that people aren't going to back them and just give you guys all the money. Like that's the goal. We are gonna go around basically, and we're gonna introduce everybody, and I'm gonna try and make everyone like as comfortable / uncomfortable as humanly possible, right? Because like when I keep you guys on edge, you guys are right. Everybody here's writers, right? You know how tension works, right? Tension builds intrigue, keeps the pages turning. Tension also just keeps Blake's buzz firing on all cylinders. So like I got to keep everybody like on edge, keep your hair standing up on the back of your neck. Like we like Leslie's freaking me out right now going in and out. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. We're on edge.
Stop touching my camera, jeez. It's very delicate apparently.
So Leslie's been on the show before and they're great people, awesome time, good chat, and a solid writer, which is another reason why I was happy to have him back on the show, because we want to bring the talent to the I want to put good comics in the hands of fans, right? Like that's what I like to say. But he's got a new mic and a spit screen and a pop filter, whatever you want to call it. A spit screen sounds weird because I don't think anybody's just like on their mic, like
right.
If you've ever
pop filter, like
if you've ever been on a mic for a long amount of time, it starts to get an odor.
It gets a little moist.
I've worked in a few studios where over time those pop filters took on a distinct smell.
Interesting.
Do you have an ASMR we don't know about?
No, I've just been doing this a while with a lot of different people.
Man, you're experienced over there now. I just got this thing.
Right? Like, let's learn some shit tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm down.
Break off.
So we're gonna go in a circle and introduce everybody. The promiscuous time travelers in the house. He's got the best screen name online, ladies and gentlemen, and he's a big fan of Blake's Buzz, and we're always happy to. I don't know why they tune in all the time. I guess it's like thank you. I'm sorry, but so Leslie, I picked on you initially, so like let's introduce you right now. Obviously, your name is Leslie Julien, and you've got a new comic book out on a whole new fucking crowdfunding platform, breaking ground, changing the game. We're going to talk about it more later, but how have you been? How's it going? How are things? You just had a birthday.
Good, yeah. I'm still alive, and I got a new crowdfunding thing going on called Head Cases that people should check out. Yeah, things are good. Things are interesting here at the new platform, Crowdfunder.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really excited to pick your brain about that because it sounds like a really cool deal. And recently we had Zoop pop up, and Zoop's had some really solid campaigns going. So yeah, it's exciting. Like, regardless of why you choose whatever platform, I just think it's good to have like options, right? I think a lot of times we get corralled into corners and made to do one thing or another because we just don't have options, and sometimes we just need options. So it's good to have them. I'm stoked to talk about that later. And yes, like you said, you've got head cases live right now. Going into July, I made a joke, which turned out to be a prophecy a few weeks ago on Twitter, but I said hot comic summer is here, right? Like, we've had hot girl summer, we've had hot boy summer, we've had all these hot summers, but hot comic summer is here now, folks. Like July is going to be an expensive fucking month, whether you're a store goer and you're buying, direct to market stuff, or whether you're a hardcover omnibus special edition collector. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out in a couple weeks. And as we're going to talk about tonight, these are just a handful of campaigns of the wild crowdfunding market right now, which is just super impressive, which like I said, Hot Comic Summer is live. and Blake's Buzz is kicking it the fuck off, and I'm gonna give you guys a few real good selections on how to spend your money. That I think we're going to be in for a treat tonight. So yeah, Leslie's been on the show before. Happy to have you back on again. Like, I'm just I'm stoked for this new project and stuff.
Yeah, glad to be back. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Hey, that's the vibe I like, baby.
Yeah.
I'm always happy when people come on my show, but when they come back, I'm like, oh shit, I did something right. All right, cool. Here we go. All right, so I'm just gonna go in a circle. No preferences. AJ, you first time on the show, and you have a really cool crowdfunder out called Torch, which is just metal. It's just metal. It's not singular word titles. I'm missing those. Like their titles are getting longer and longer these days, and I think it's kind of funny sometimes, but the books end up being real good. So I mean, like, I guess, like, call your book whatever the fuck you want, but like anyway, long story short, I missed the singular title. It just hits, right? Just
I mean, like, animes, they ruin the plot now in all those animes and mangas too, right?
I'm a little more excited.
You just say, hey, let's put the plot on the cover of the book and hope people buy it. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Torch, it's I do have to admit, I do have a byline or like a subline, whatever that's called, Reclaim the Skies, which I hope is equally metal, but
also metal.
Yeah.
Also metal.
I appreciate you having me on, man. I really do.
Yeah, we'll get more into it as we share the space later. But this was one of the, like, you think shit, right? And like, I deal with so many Kickstarter people, and like, I back a lot of Kickstarters, and like, you think you think you're in the scene, and then you still, like, one day you wake up and you stub your toe on the table and you trip and you fall, and then, like, right there under the counter, you like get while you're laying on the floor, you see this like shiny little deal, and you reach under there and you pull it out, and it's this fucking Kickstarter campaign that you've never heard of. And there's, not only is it, new to you, but this is the second issue, and you're like, where was I for the first issue? And anyways, the art is crazy. The story is fun. It's an awesome female protagonist, which I like, like, I love them. Like, we need more of them, and like, it's great. And we're going to talk about it more, but yeah, it's a wonderful sci-fi, and AJ, I'm glad you came on the show again. It's we don't really know each other, but by the end of the night, we're going to know each other too well, right? That's how Blake's.
No, that sounds good, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. And yeah, it's wild. Like, you can go like a year with like, think that everybody in the Kickstarter space, and then boom, just out of nowhere, it's like, oh, here's another Kickstarter that's hitting 5 figures or whatever the benchmark is, and you're just like blown away, and it's like, how did I not hear about this? So
yeah,
I'm hoping to share with more people, but thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm like, I want more people to read this comic. It's good. And next up, another Blake. Like, I always get excited, like, when we did the podcast previously for Territory, which if you guys know me, I love kaiju giant robot shit, and I love kaiju comics. Like, plus kaiju comics it's fun to say, kaiju comics. Like, it's fun. We have fun here. Blake McCarthy is writing Territory. It's in its 3rd issue. So, like, congrats on, kickstarting is hard enough, but a lot of y'all are coming on with either multiple campaigns or 2nd or 3rd issues of your miniseries that you're crowdfunding, and carrying that weight on your own shoulders, which is like, dude, you're like, I don't know what kind of reps you guys put in at the gym to be able to carry that kind of fucking weight, but it's impressive. It's impressive to me. And Blake's comic Territory is equally impressive. Blake, how you doing tonight, man? How's it been? How you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me back. Always good to talk to another Blake. It, got that connection right away. But no, it was a lot of fun last time. I'm glad to be back, and it's awesome to be back this time with some other people. Backed a couple of the campaigns on these guys on here, so it's going to be cool to kind of pick everyone's brain, and to hear the process and where everyone's at with everything.
Yeah, like, it's exciting, and also, like, so how this show kind of happened was, like, I started the podcast, right? And then I started the blog, and then like we did like some written interviews, and then like people were like, oh, you should have a podcast. And I was like, what? That's a lot of work. I don't know. And then I was like, okay, let's do a podcast. And then we did a podcast. I always tell people no when they give me ideas. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm there yet. And then like a week later, I launch it, and I'm just like, yep, I snuck in there. But so, you know, we started the podcast, and Blake was on the podcast previously. We had a good time. And you know, it's a more intimate scenario, right? Because it's usually just me and like maybe two other people. And you know, it's more of a deep dive, but I started getting really into Kickstarter campaigns, right? And everybody's hitting me up, and I'm like, I can't do 5 podcasts a week, you know, like I wish I could, you know, but it's like, that's a lot. And I hated telling people no, because I'm always scared if I tell someone no, it's going to be like, no one's ever going to ask you again. Right. Like they're going to be like, oh, he said no, and I've fuck him forever. So I started this live show, and I was like, I can have a few people on. We can do like an online live forum, and, you know, just like talk to people and get the word out about Kickstarters. And so, yeah, like, thank you for taking a risk on my new format. So I appreciate you. Like, I'm glad you came back.
Hey man, as a new creator, anyone that's willing to, you know, talk to me or talk about the book is a win. I'm like, it's awesome to see, you know, everything that you've been doing. And also, I don't know why I'm banana yellow, by the way. That's just something my computer's doing. I don't know.
I thought you were trying to blend into the background. I was like, dude,
I'm not even trying to. And it like I like move it around, it changes colors, and I don't know what it's doing. But I guess I'll just be a banana for this show, so it'll be a good time.
Hey, it's the vibe. It's color coordinated, so it actually, like, it looks good on the screen. Like,
yeah, I totally planned it that way.
Yeah, because you're an artist, you're a creator, you're
all that stuff up here all the time. You know, it's hard to contain it.
We got some people tuning in. We got we've got the artist for one of our campaigns saying hi from Italy. That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Your art is amazing. Oh my God, it's so good. Like, holy shit. We're gonna show some of it later when we talk about the campaign, but like, where did you come from? How are you not famous? Like, how are you not on everybody's comic read? Like, holy shit, man. Like, variant covers at least. Like you, I mean, yeah, someone needs to pick them up. We're gonna show their art later, and like, you're silly if you don't check these people out. Yes, you deserve it. You deserve all the hearts and flames yourself. Thank you so much. We got some agreement that I'm trying to get better at answering comics, guys. So like, forgive me if like, while I try and hype up I hype up like 10 people like at the same time. This is interesting, you know. This is why cocaine should be legal and free. I'm kidding. Don't do drugs, kids. Yes, one word titles kick ass. I agree. But also, like, call your comic whatever you want, as long as the insides are good. You know, like, I'll forgive a lot of stuff. And then we got Mage Universe. Oh man, buckle in, baby. We're gonna put you through some loops and heavy turns, and we're gonna give you the G forces. Like, we're gonna throw you in a fucking spaceship with a torch and send you into combat. You're not ready for that kind of action. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so again, we're 15 minutes into the show. We haven't even introduced everybody yet, right? That's how we do things. Coming up next on the cycles, DJ Wooldridge. How are you doing tonight, sir? One of the writers of Hellbent. Which, as I mentioned in the green room, I was raised Catholic, not Catholic anymore, but have a lot of opinions on it. So I get excited about horror and faith, like in the movies. And this one's obviously a comic. Your second book is live right now, and these are big books. These are like 44-ish page issues. Like, you're not just getting a little 22-page comic like when you walk into the store, ladies and gentlemen. You're getting a cardstock cover. You're getting some weighty pages. You're getting some very lovely artwork. And just a really fun comic. And DJ, I'm so glad you decided to come on tonight. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You have DJ also is I'm like full screen. I don't even know how to do full screening for a second. Can I? Nope, that didn't work. All right. Well, that's all right. I wanted to full screen him just because he's got this background that is just. He's got us all, like, he's got his spinner rack, he's got this like brick background, like in a cool I Oh, I thought like is that some Bruce action?
Yeah, we got some Evil Dead over this way. The Japanese Army of Darkness poster. We got the spinner rack. This is like I mentioned at the top. I've been doing this for a minute, so I got my little setup going.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna ask you some questions after the show, man, because we trying to build the audience. Someone told me that the other day. They were like, man, like every like big YouTube guy like has a cool background. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like I gotta fix my shit and like invest in a desk and like I have plans, but like everything costs money, right? And I gotta buy it. Like when everybody's like, dude, why you have like books on the floor? Like, why don't you buy bookshelves? And I was like, because if I buy a bookshelf, then I can't buy these 3 omnibuses that came out last week. Gotta balance the fucking check, ladies and gentlemen. But no, so yeah, so you've been doing this a while, and what like are you like a film guy? Because you were a film guy, right?
Yeah, so I host the podcast Only Stupid Answers. You can check that out every Monday. And so that's what I do on the regular. I've made a few short films. I've made a few comics prior to this one. This is, of course, volume 2 of Hellbent, but I also made another comic called Chaos Theory. Both volumes of that were on Indiegogo. Yeah, so I dabble in a bunch of different stuff.
You're a dabbler.
I'm a dabbler. What can I say?
I like to have the dabblers on the show. Like you guys, that's good because like when I run out of shit to say, you guys probably are shocked to even hear me say that because I don't shut the fuck up. But like I have this deep fear that like 1 week, like in the middle of the show, I'm just gonna be like, I'm out of stuff to talk about. Like I have this like deep, burning, traumatizing fear like in my soul that's gonna happen. And so yeah, it's anytime I can like learn from people who've been there before or obviously like I guess I just need to get a spinner rack. Like project 2 is to like get
the spinner rack. What this all boils down to is that you want to get a spinner rack is what this all comes down to. Did you find one at like a thrift store or did you buy like when they did like the spinner rack? Well, now it was a Kickstarter, oddly enough. But now they have like just the store and you can like order it. Yeah, no, honestly, I think I got it off Amazon. I don't think it was, but I've had this for a couple years now. So I don't quite remember the origins of it. This is like from 2 sets ago. Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So I never even thought I'd look for Amazon and everything. I never thought to like look at Amazon for. I don't know what the state of it is now. But back when I got probably gone. It's sold. Yeah. It's like that comic book you hear about like a year and a half after it came out, and it like had this cool hardcover, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy it. And then you get on Amazon, it's like it's sold out, and it's like $85 from a private seller, and you're like, son of a bitch, I always miss it. I'm always late to the damn party. Anyway, DJ, I'm super excited to talk tonight. Thanks for I feel like you're like the one who dressed up. Like I want to say like thanks for dressing up and coming to the party and like in like your fucking in-house studio. Like reminded me I need to step up my game. Happy to do it. Like it's cool, and I love the poster. Like it's like I love when like you don't even have like my buddy used to work at a movie theater or a movie theater, and he used to get like the international posters and stuff sometimes too, and he'd hang them, and it's just like this just makes it cooler. It's like it's like it's even more rare. Like it's like I'm on that upper echelon of movie poster collecting. All right, like step up to the plate. Get ready for the pitch. Anyway, DJ, I'm super happy to have you on tonight. And last but not least, Wyndi Gale is here to talk about her first Kickstarter experience. She's a prose writer that is about to get is releasing a new 3-part comic series that's going to kind of level up as the series progresses. I really love the main Kickstarter page. Like we're going to show that later, and you should all like check it out. But like Wyndi, how you doing tonight? I'm excited to talk.
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to talk over Chuck in the background over here.
Oh, so yeah, we're never going to hear you then.
I know. You'll be able to hear what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking die.
That's the editor of the year screaming in the background, folks. Like,
yep.
Chuck Pino's got his fucking fingers in like every fucking Kickstarter. He's like the goddamn puppeteer over here. And Wendy's the one who keeps him like in gear, keeps him on track, keeps him like being a good man. And on top of that like that's a thing that like You should get like you should get dividends for that, some royalty checks. But on top of that,
really
are and like I said, this is your first Kickstarter and kind of coming from a prose background to a comic book medium, and your campaign's doing well for having just released. Like it's got to be exciting. And you're the same. You have also edited a lot of stuff and been on some anthologies and things, but this is your first like solo kickstarting adventure, right?
Yeah, this is my first Kickstarter. This is my first full-length comic. Yeah, and I feel like, I have to say, I feel like I was being called out with the one-word title thing.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the title for this Kickstarter is the Viscarian Tales. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's right.
Okay, I was like, it's either Viscarian or Viserian. I'm gonna hit it with a hard C. I was like, I'll hit it with the hard C and see what happens. All right, so Viscarian Tales, The Marauders Masquerade. Got some ending it with some like punchy alliteration, which so I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this longer title, by the way. Like you're
gonna pass.
Now it could have been like The Viscarian Tales, Marauders Masquerade, the story of rising to the top of the to the top tier echelon of but anyway, so no, like I like this. It's, four words. 4 words is punchy and strong. That's good. We can hit it with the quad. I'm down. You guys down with that? You feel like the quad, the quad word title solid?
I think it's a pretty badass title.
Yeah, you guys think the title's badass? Like, wait till you see the art. Like, here, we're gonna go. Wyndi, we're gonna start with you. By the way, now that the intros are done, 22 minutes into the show, we're gonna start talking about your guys' comics now. So we got the Viscarian Tales. We are over 3/4 funded, right? I always like to say we in these instances, like I'm a part of this fucking shit. And we're almost funded. We're about there. Wyndi has almost funded, and I'm excited for that because one of the I think this is a really good idea for a stretch goal, by the way. I believe it's like 3K. If you hit 3K, you're going to throw in a bonus comic that you can buy for $12. So
no, if it's fun, so if I hit 3K, then the prose book, the novel that I wrote to tell the comic story in prose form, will be added as an add-on.
So it's okay. So you get a prose, you get the prose title. Okay. That's cool. But I'm excited for the prose because if you guys go to the if you look up the Viscarian Tales, if you go to this Kickstarter page, she's got a couple samples of prose, and your prose is good, by the way. And I can say that because I was in an MFA creative writing program that I did not graduate from. I dropped out when I was writing my thesis. So that gives me the right to say what prose is good or not. But no, like I do
anybody's opinion, because everybody likes to read and everybody has an opinion about it. So,
but it is you do have like a flowing a nice flowing like fantasy genre-esque. It's good for this genre, and it's when you're like world building, it's not like a slog. You're good at keeping our attention with, like, it doesn't, none of your prose feels burdensome, and it's like reading through this Kickstarter update, like, and after seeing this beautiful art, even though I wanted more of it, like, oh my God, I wanted so much more of it, but I was still happy to read your prose and excited to see some of the different ideas popping up from this is like what I would call a Kickstarter experience. We're going to have a comic book. If everything funds well and does well, we're going to have like a novella. And then as each subsequent issue comes out with more stuff, you want to talk about that, Wyndi? You're going to like award patches, like level up patches, essentially for your reoccurring audience.
Yeah, so with this one, if you back a physical level, then you will get a sew-on patch. It's an embroidered patch, and you become a member of the Viscarian Guild, and you'll start off as a novice rogue for this campaign. The next campaign, if you also pledge for a physical copy of that book, then you move up to the next rank, which would be a oh shoot, now I got to try to remember. Anyway,
we can scroll to it.
You move up to the next rank. Yeah, it says it at the bottom. It's at the very bottom. So yeah, with each campaign, you'll move up to the next highest rank in the guild, and you get a new patch to show that. And then when we do the trade paperback, if you pledge for that one, then you become the highest rank, which is a master assassin.
Well, shit! Now you have to double dip. You can't just get to level 3 and not be the fucking master assassin at the end. You'd be fucking yourselves over. You'd be screwed. All right, so here we go. Stretch goals.
There it is.
Handsome motherfucker too.
Me? Thanks, Chuck. All right, yeah. So the Viserion Guild. All right, so Novice Rogue, Journeyman Rogue, Master Thief, Master Assassin, and that's what your story's about, right? Is a townswoman who discovers that she's kind of good at being sneaky, and then seems like gets involved in some shit real quickly, and learns how to be like a D&D RPG, fight the final boss, max leveled master, right? Like that's what we got going on here.
That's the goal. And she actually starts off as a young farm girl, and she's just absolutely obsessed and fascinated by what the skills that thieves and rogues and assassins have. She wants to understand how they can do what they do, like, moving in shadows and not making a sound when they walk. She wants to be able to do that just because she finds it just utterly fascinating. She's become obsessed with the idea of being able to do that, so much so that the stories of the King's Assassin, who's a dark elf, have they scare most people. People don't want to talk of, like, so a lot of people don't even want to mention the guy's name, just because of the stuff that's associated with him. But her goal is she's going to train with him one day, and but she knows she can't go to him at some point and say, like, hey, I just, I want you to train me. She's got to have some skills. And so, that's what this is about. This story is about her starting that training so that one day she'll be able to somehow approach him, which is very naive of her, but and try to get him to train her. So that's her main goal. Her overarching goal is just to basically just go out there and have fun. Like she doesn't have hardly any inhibitions. She lives day to day, moment to moment. She's very unaware of consequences, and she's going to learn her lessons the hard way.
I like how you said her main goal is to like just go out there and have fun. Like training a max level rogue is just like teaching kids how to play flag football. You're like, all right, everybody listen up. Like, get your daggers, sharpen them up, make sure everything's good to go. Got your potions in your belt. All right, everybody get an orange slice. Now remember, huddle up, everybody. Now remember, when you're slaying the goblins and the ghouls, we're here to have fun. So I did get it. Like that's what they're.
That's her mentality. It absolutely is her mentality.
I like that. That's good. Like that's so like I love fun comics, and I also love like dystopic, like really intense, hard punchy noir. Like, I love to get sad. I love to get scared, but I also love to have fun. And I feel like there's a lot of people that forget that comics can be fun while doing other things, right? We can have great action. We can still be fun. We can have high drama and high stakes, but we can still have a little fun every now and then. And like, stretch the panels out to new and exciting places that like we don't have to like traumatize each other, right? Like the life does that. We can just like throw in little hints of real life every now and then, right? And then that anchors us to the trauma, and then we can have fun in the narrative and in the dialogue and in the montage sequences and stuff. I'm all about that, and I'm really excited for this because I thought last year 2021 I thought was a big comic book horror year, right? And now any genre can come out at any time. Like, I'm not saying like things have to be, sequestered into these little blocks of our lives. But I feel like this year, 2022, I feel like there's a lot of great fantasy already happening. And I almost feel like this is the year of like sci-fi fantasy, right? Like last year was horror. Now, like, more fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi. Maybe next year will be hard sci-fi year. Maybe 2023 will be the the big sci-fi year. But and again, you can release whatever at any time, but there's a lot of fantasy going on right now, and I'm excited for it. Now I'm excited for this because it looks really cool, and I'm excited for like a prose writer who's also an editor, who's also worked on all these other Kickstarters, like to do your own. That's got to be super exciting, but also like, how are the jitters? How are the Kickstarter jitters, right? Because I've heard they never go away. But you know, like as someone who's been involved with other campaigns and so much other stuff, like Wyndi, how's your solo experience? Like, is it worse? Are you like, fuck, I got to do this for 2 more issues? Like, why did I do this? Or like, are you kind of like, okay, like I've been around the block, like now I'm on my own and I'm digging it. Like, how's your experience going?
I don't think I have the normal Kickstarter jitters, and I'm not saying that to be like egotistical in any kind of way, but I've been behind the scenes for so many, mainly because of Chuck. I mean, he's been involved in so many books. Plus I've been kind of in the background of the indie community for about 3 years or so now. And I just, you know what? I've been sitting back and learning and listening. Like nice. I wanted to pick up on everything I could pick up on, the advice that I felt was good advice. And so that when it came time for me to kind of, you know, branch out on my own, I guess, that I would be ready. Now there's always going to be some doubt and whatnot. And I tell you, it's extremely anxious, or it's anxiety inducing to have to sit at work all day for, 8 hours and not know what the hell's going on. So I don't usually have my phone with me when I'm at work. So I can't like go on and check and see what's going on and stuff. So I try to check in the morning before I leave, but I'm one of those people, man. I'm going to sleep till the last second. It's like, all right, I got just enough time to get ready to go. And so sometimes I don't even get to check it in the morning. And so I don't get to see the progress, see what's happened through the day or since the night before, until I get home from work. So through the day, I'm just like, I want to look. But
I wonder if that's like healthier though. Like you're like,
right.
Like you want to look, but you can't, then you got to kind of wait to do that. Cause I know there are other people that like will like check it all the time.
Refresh.
And then they're like, oh no, we lost money. Oh, we gained money. Oh, what? We lost 2 pledges. Like, there were people that are like really like hyper tuned into all that. So I don't know. Like I would probably be the one who would be like, I'd be all over it. Cause I'm also like lurking in the indie scenes, and like I act like I'm this like golden hearted person who's like promoting all these comics because I want great comics out there, but really what I'm trying to do is like network and steal all your ideas so that like one day I can make a comic. So like that's my kind of goal for everything, and I'm that's kind of true and kind of not. Like I do love indie comics, but like it's crazy like doing this. I used to be in grad school and they would bring creators in, like a New York Times bestseller to do like a MFA workshop or something, and it was like so cool. And now like I talk to writers like, all week. Like we do these on Wednesday night. We do the podcast. Like all I'm doing is talking to like writers and artists about making comics. And it's just like normative part of my existence now. And yeah, so like I also want to make one day. And it's like talking to you all is like anybody who wants to make a comic, like just do a podcast and devote like another 30 hours
or
40
be in the
hours
audience.
to it. Be in the audience, like tune into my show, download, tune in, download. If you want to download it on Apple, on Spotify, and stream it on Google, I wouldn't be mad at you. Like watch the same episode, just cue them all in, hit play at the same time, like that'd be great.
I would just start a podcast and just have it playing in the background and listening and learning while I was doing whatever else I was doing. And, doing that for like 3 years and then listening in, not eavesdropping, but listening in on conversations between other creators and whatnot. And just you just have to absorb the information, and make use of it in whatever way you feel is best. And so like I said, I got lucky. I had the opportunity to kind of soak all this stuff in, check out tons and tons of Kickstarters, and then come up with a way that I thought would represent my work, the way I wanted it to, and take all that advice into consideration. So
how tricky was it to switch from like a prose heavy background to like script writing? and stuff? Like, or were you also kind of used to that already from like editing other Kickstarters and stuff? But I just like you put like a couple samples of prose on your Kickstarter page, and it's like it's very like it's very lofty and like present in the moment, and it's really good, right? And then like when you write that. Oh, no problem. And but when you write comic scripts, like you have to condense all that like intensely, and then and think of the image and the scene, right? You have to change a lot of that. And so like was that tricky, or again was that kind of like you've been hanging out, so you kind of knew the deal?
No, it was a little tricky. It was hard for me because in my prose writing, I tend to be very descriptive. Both in describing physical and mental things. And so to pair that down into a script and having to decide what was important and what wasn't, and what needed to be in there and what I could leave out. And that was the hardest part. And it, because this story was written 20 years ago. And so I mean, not actually written, but well, yeah, I was in a way. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. But so the story was already written, but it was written in prose form 20 years ago. And so to take that and everything that it encompassed over the 10 or so years that these stories were being written, and try to cut it down to make it into a script without including all of that descriptive stuff and whatnot, it was really hard.
Did it help having like an awesome artist? Like Dino's art is fucking nuts. Like does it help working with like an experienced artist?
It does, and I had to. One reason why I chose Dino was because I had read all the Harlan Buck series, which I absolutely loved, and that's where I ran across his art. And he was just so good with the facial expressions and stuff like that. And I thought, with his art, he can portray those descriptions through the facial expressions and whatnot of the characters that I have to leave out because it's not necessary to write. You know what I mean? So I knew that in combination with his art, I could still tell that story that I wanted to tell.
Facial expressions are so fucking important. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because all of you on this panel right now have artists that like really fucking come in for the moment, right? Like there's these crazy intense things going on, but you all have these artists that find the moment and lock in on a character and hit you with those feels that you need to hold on to and carry on through the narrative. And so like, I don't know what devil y'all sacrificed part of your soul to like, I mean, that's part of DJ, like DJ's narrative is like in that realm of stuff anyway, but like all of you have like really great artists on your side, and I think you're all great writers and write strong dialogue, and I think you're all super talented in that regards. But yeah, you guys all have like artists that really take your scripts to a whole other level. And we just mentioned like Dino for Viscarian Tales. And what I didn't realize, fucking Stoney Williams is coloring this comic. Like, I thought he was a writer. What's he doing coloring shit? Like, when did that happen?
Actually, he's a colorist. I mean, he's only written a couple of things, but he started out as a colorist.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And he's my third. So the production on this thing has been ridiculous. Dino was actually my second artist. And then I went through 3 colorists and 2 letterers.
Oh, wow.
So it's been just over 2.5 years since I got the first character sketches for the book. And it's still being worked on, but it's in progress and it'll be done before the Kickstarter's finished.
And so now it's finally happening. So wow, this Kickstarter is like special for you in a lot of ways then, because this was like a tumultuous start for your comic, long time in the making, moving from prose to sequential graphic narrative, dealing with those struggles, dealing with losing people on your team, and now it's finally happening. That's exciting. That's cool, and it's doing well. So you're like, it's gonna fucking happen. And I have no doubt that you're gonna hit a couple stretch goals too. So you're gonna get to drop that novella and get some pros in everybody's hands too. That's cool. I'm stoked.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Stoked, Wyndi.
I'm not really feeling the whole impact of it yet. I think I'm kind of a little bit in denial.
No,
it'll hit me one. It'll hit me.
Yeah, it'll hit eventually. But yeah, I'm super pumped, and I think it's again, like, I think it's a good time for fantasy narratives right now, and so it's a good time to be on Kickstarter or whatever medium you're crowdfunding on, and yeah, so everybody needs to look up Viscarian Tales, the Marauders. Hold on. All right. This is the bad part about live. You get hung up for a second, and then you sound like a buffoon. Viscarian Tales Marauders Masquerade, 1 of 3. Let's go back to this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get there. Let's put some money down. I want the patches. I want to get leveled up. I want to get the whole deal, right? And I want to have like the whole thing. I'm a recovering variant addict. I tell people this a lot. I used to be a real big slut for store exclusive variants. I was like, what? I can pay $25 for a comic book that costs $4 in the shop because it's got like a cute girl on the cover from an artist? Yeah, done. Like, let's buy. And then my buddy made fun of me because he was like, dude, what are you gonna fucking do with them, man? You put them in a box. And I was like, yeah, but I know they're there. I was like, I'll go to that box later and pull it out and look at it and be like, yeah, I bought that.
And speaking of variants, I have a surprise variant cover that I'll be announcing later this week. So,
ooh, exciting!
Yeah, and store exclusives. The anthology that has the short story that was published last year. It was the first published story with this character. It's in the anthology from the collective gaming community in Florida. It's a store exclusive anthology, so that's also in the Kickstarter.
Oh, that's Travis's deal, right?
Yeah. He helped get it started and whatnot. Yeah. That shop's called The Collective, and they do these one shots, and that get like a few people from other comics, and you get like a nice one shot with a few minis in it, and Travis Gibbs, awesome. Friend of the show. He's been on a couple times, and I know so like Wyndi's husband Chuck works with him a lot on some of his stuff. Wyndi's been on. You're in some of the upcoming anthologies, right? I have a piece in the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland.
Yes.
He just released the PDF of that.
Yeah, he just sent out the PDF today. So anybody who backed Cthulhu Invades Wonderland, if you're curious about Wyndi's style, and if for some reason you're too fucking lazy to go to Kickstarter and read all this stuff that I've just told you about, like, why aren't you there? Why aren't you doing it, listeners? But anyways, if you got that, you can check out Wyndi in that awesome anthology, which Travis's anthologies are really different. They're like built as a progressive narrative. There's like a plot to the minis that like carry out. And it's really cool. He makes like a really difficult thing more difficult, but it's cool for the readers. Yeah. It's fun for the readers. Well, Wyndi, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I'm super pumped for your Kickstarter, and I'm interested in watching this rogue level up and change. Like, I'm a big RPG fan. When I was playing a lot of video games, this is if you really like video games and playing video games a lot of times, don't start a podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because then you don't have time to fucking play video games anymore, and
don't have a job.
That's the kicker. If we could all get rid of these fucking day jobs, right? And then like
I'd be playing Dragon Age right now.
Right? Yeah, like I would be I'd be playing Fire Emblem just all day. Just like leave me alone. I'm gonna play Fire Emblem forever. But I'm a wuss and I don't turn on permadeath. So judge me, I don't care. I'm not gonna spend 30 hours making an awesome character to make a mistake in a battle and lose him forever, right? In video games, death isn't real. Unless you're Final Fantasy VII, but we're not here to talk about that. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're on a tangent. Anyways, Wyndi, again, like I'm super stoked and thanks for coming on. And everybody, go to this Kickstarter and back it. And I like the art. Like I showed you the art. I flipped through it. It looks beautiful. And that was just a montage training scene. Like who knows what we're gonna get in the rest of it. and we got 2 other parts after this one. That's amazing. And Chuck will be in the background while you're reading it, yelling at you. Like you won't even. That's what's cool about these books. You don't realize when you buy books that Chuck Pino's involved with, as you're reading the book, he just screams at you, and you don't know where it comes from. You don't know if it's like a little speaker in the book, like when you were in like kindergarten and you bought like the cool Aladdin book and you press the button to make the genie sound, like, and then you pressed it too much and then it quit making sounds, and then you had this like useless book with a soundboard that doesn't work anymore. Maybe that was just me. Anyways, that's what it's like when Chuck's involved in a book. He's just like, turn the page. Yeah, it's great.
Anyway. You get to the end of the book, you're all shaking and everything.
Yeah. You're like, I can't do it anymore. Anyways.
I read it. What more do you want? Yeah, and this, just so you know, this character, she actually came from an RPG, so.
Not like tabletop or like video game.
Well, actually, it was I don't know if you've ever heard of play by posts. It was a thing for a while. Not so much anymore, but it was a play by post, a role playing game. Where you create a character to fit into this pre-made world that Chuck and I created. Viscare, that's why it's called Viscarian Tales. But you create a character and you take your character through this world and interact with other characters and NPCs and stuff through creative writing.
Nice.
So, and that's where this character came from. And that's where all the characters from these stories will come from.
That's
why I said these stories have already been written.
Yeah, I remember. So last before we move on to our next contestant, like it's a fucking game show. What the fuck is happening?
Come on down.
Last before we move on, do you think, because you have like a plan, right? 3 issues and then a trade collection, and then and then at least 1 novella. Like, for this campaign, I don't know if you're going to carry that theme through of like, if we reach the stretch goal, you can add this on. So maybe a few novellas too. But you mentioned in your Kickstarter campaign that you guys have like built this world and some of your friends have worked on it too. Like, are like long term, like things work out, everybody backs your campaigns, like, the big bad wolf doesn't come and blow your house down or whatever. Like, are you guys gonna think about like anthology stuff? Because that shit's in anthologies and Kickstarter, anthologies and crowdfunding are like, if you got the right jam, you can print some money. It seems like right now.
Yeah. So the plan right now is that, we're going to do 3-issue arcs of different characters. And we've already got the first 3, I think it's the first 3 planned out as far as which characters those arcs are going to be about. And then we've also talked to some of the previous players from the game, and they're very interested in writing their own little stories and whatnot, and we'll be putting together anthologies with those most likely. So It's still kind of in the works and whatnot. That's going to be a little bit further down the road probably, but yeah, that it's each story arc will be introducing different characters from that world until we get to a point where it's going to have to be like a graphic novel at some point instead of these little 3-issue arcs and stuff, because there will be so many characters that have been brought together that it's gonna develop into that most likely at some point. And yes, I will continue doing the novellas. So
cool. That's awesome. Yeah. That's exciting. I know everybody says just comics in general. They're like, all right, look, like they usually tell you like start with a 5-pager, right? Like start with this 5-page comic, make this 5-page comic, right? Which is also super fucking intimidating because like you're gonna write this 5-page script. It's gonna fucking like blow people's minds. Like that's just just start here. Yeah. Right, just put your training wheels on, hop on your bike, get ready in the street, settle in, put your helmet on, try on. Just write this 5-page script. It's awesome.
How can I write a real story in 4 or 5 pages?
Exactly.
That was the first story I did, and that was hard.
Yeah, right. It's like tricky because even prose, like if you're submitting to like journals and stuff, right? If you have a short story, you're looking at like usually less than 20 pages, 15 to 20 pages. That's a lot of story. That's a lot of words. That gives you like a lot of time to like tell a story. But then you tell a fucking comic book short. You turn like a 22-page script into 10 or 6 or 8 or less. Like for these anthologies, like that's a feat. You gotta like, you don't have time to waste. You got to hit the ground running. You got to make it happen. So yeah, like anyways, that always impresses me. And I love when people come to Kickstarter with like a big game idea, right? Like I'm going to do this many issues. I'm going to do some novellas. I'm going to like maybe later bring people in. Like that's exciting to me. And I feel like when you have faith in your project to say like, look, yes, we're going to do this one shot, but also like, we're going to do 2 more and I'm going to do some novellas and these things are going to happen because I'm going to fund it. It's going to happen. Like, I feel like when you get that confidence behind your project and that excitement and these bigger ideas, right? And you mention those in your camp, like, I feel like your audience picks up on that. They're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, this shit's going to happen. This is going to get real. Just like I mentioned earlier, like I'm excited for these like level up patches. Like I want to be there for the next campaigns to like, I want to collect the goodies, right? I want to have that stuff on my shelf and ready to go. So that's cool. And I'm with you. I think it's going to be, again, like I'm excited for it and hope it's, I feel like you got a good thing and I hope more people pick up on that. Cause I want it. Like I just selfishly, like just like everybody back this campaign just so I can get this story. Cause I want it fulfilled. Like that's all I want. So yeah, like I think it's gonna do well, and I'm excited that it's live, and I'm really glad Chuck hit me up and introduced me to it, because again, like I mentioned earlier, like you think you know all these Kickstarter stuff, and you still miss things now and then, and you have stuff that you don't see till it's too late, and then sometimes you know that's the bummer about Kickstarter. Sometimes you're like too late. You really are too late for the party. Like, you know, you show up and like everybody's drunk and passed out and someone already puked in the pool, so you can't even swim. And you're like, well, what the fuck do I do here now? The keg's empty. Like, shit.
You're like, damn, I missed all the fun.
I always miss all the fun. That's why we started Blake's Buzz, so I could bring the fun to you. Anyways, Wyndi, like, again, real excited. I'm super stoked for your project. Next up, we're going to go around Mr. DJ Wooldridge, who's here to talk about Hellbent, and how, regardless of his spinner rack and his cool background, you know what he's got, ladies and gentlemen? He's got a really, really, really cool fucking comic out, which dropped last year. And I remember everybody was obsessed with Danny at the moment because of Coffin Bound. And like a genius move on your part was like, oh, everybody's like talking about this artist. I'm gonna have them do a variant cover. I don't know if that happened accidentally or on purpose, but that's how I caught eye of your comic, was the Danny variant. Yeah. I ended up getting that, and the comic paid off, right? It was awesome, and it was super cool, and you know, very, very like culty, and you know, devilish religious, you know, very high paced, you know, narrative. Also, which there's so many things you do in the first issue, but it's kind of 2 issues, sort of. Yeah. But anyways, after the success of Volume 1, you're here for 2.
Yep.
And you just launched last week, and like how you feeling? Like, is it you feeling pretty good about it?
I'm feeling good. I think like everybody else here, you get nervous. You get nervous, especially when, you know, no matter how well it's doing, you got a number in your brain, you know, and if you're not quite hitting that or whatever, you know, it talks to you a little bit. But I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good about the comic. I think, you know, we feel really proud of Volume 1. Volume 2, I think we've improved on pretty much every level, which is what you want to do with follow-ups. Like you mentioned, each volume is 2 chapters of this story. If you missed out, anybody that missed out on Volume 1, you can get a reprint of Volume 1 as part of the campaign. Hellbentcomicbook.com is where you can go find that. But yeah, the response has been really good, and I'm really excited for people to see it. You know, you talk about the religious aspect of it. Both my co-writer Jane and myself, we longtime friends. We came up in church together. And so a lot of the comic is like, you know, we weren't Catholic, we were Baptist, but you know, working through some of that, you know, I didn't necessarily have a negative experience in church, but I think, you know, with the way things in the country are going today, there's some conflicted feelings there. I think is safe to say, you know what I mean? I think as a nation, we're dealing with some stuff. And so just kind of processing that, and then doing and wanting to do, I think in a lot of ways want to do stuff that you know, you can do on Kickstarter that you're not really seeing out in the world right now. So a lot of this is kind of a love letter to the old school Vertigo comics, like Sandman or Preacher, stuff that kind of like Invisibles, stuff that was pushing boundaries, that was challenging people, that was hopefully telling cool stories. That's the vibe we were going for. And so, yeah, when it came to for Danny as the variant cover, we were really lucky with our variant cover artists. Volume 1, we had Danny and Nicole Gu. And this volume, we have Davi Go and Jen St. Ange, who's doing this Harley Quinn graphic novel for DC right now. And you're going for a specific vibe, you know what I mean? And so Danny had that vibe. And one of the cool things is other than me, the whole creative team is like women and queer creators to bring, because that's kind of where the story lives, and to bring that authenticity to the story, because I think authenticity makes stories better and helps people connect with them more, and makes them helps you buy into them more, and also makes them more unique, makes them stand out. This isn't going to be the same thing you've read a million times, hopefully. It's that balancing act. You want to give them so a little bit of that taste that they're looking for, but maybe just a little bit different. Switch it up a little bit. So I think we're doing that in this issue. We're expanding the world. We've got some new characters, new villains, new allies. Chapter. So this is chapter 3 and 4. This is part of volume 2. For the first chapter is a big action oriented one, and the second chapter kind of expands the world, lets you in on some of the things we teased in volume 1. We're answering some of those questions now, because I also don't want chapter to chapter, I don't want to be doing the same thing. Both Jane and I want to be like switching it up and expanding the story, unfolding the story, giving you a little different vibe with each chapter.
Now, your artist is also having a real good time lately. Heather Vaughn does your interiors.
Yeah.
She's lighting it up, man. She's doing all these variant covers. She's doing all these variant. She's doing all the some prints for some other stuff. She's done one of my buds, Easton DeVerna, who does some. He's a writer. Like, she's worked on a couple of his campaigns, doing like prints and variants, and so like your interior artist is having a good time now. So like your campaign is just, you picked a good time to release. Like, everybody's topically it's pertinent right now, right? Especially with your, one of your protagonists is trans, and like, we're getting to kind of like follow that identification arc, and like, it's see what that's kind of like.
It's interesting, because when we were first conceiving the story, that's just kind of what the story was, and it's interesting how kind of in an unfortunate way how timely it became. Like, like in some ways I kind of wish the story was less timely. That would be nice for all of us that have to live in this world.
It's it is a bummer. Like, we, why we're talking about these things right now. But still, I love her character. I love I really dug out, like, she wasn't ready to like tell her name until the end of the first volume. I thought that also it was cool, like her and Nick getting to know each other. Like, I thought that was really, strong writing from both you and your writing partner. Again, we talked about how important, like, those very like visceral and raw emotional moments are, like, and how difficult that is sometimes for even for the most talented of artists. It's a tricky thing to pull off, to take a static image and to draw that from nothing and make your audience like latch into the gaze of their eyes and like see like real sadness or real excitement or real confusion. Like, that's always a challenge. Like, I think, for writers that kind of is easy, because we can explain like that thought process, but the artist doesn't really get that when they have to like hit us with an image. And that's why I think comics are magical, because we get these like big ideas, right? And then we have to find these people that are talented enough to like, okay, I can put that on the page. And I think Heather's really good at doing that. And
100%.
And there's a lot of emotion to put on these pages of the first volume, and I'm excited to like these new images of like volumes. Like, look at this art, look at these art and colors, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this is good.
Francesca Citarelli on colors, Haley Rose Lyon on letters.
Great letters. Like, even in these exposition heavy moments, like doesn't take away from the page. It's balanced well. I think that this panel is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
We see what we need, and we get a lot of exposition to read. A lot of people bitch about exposition, but like I think they just don't like to read. And it's like, even if you're reading comics, you still got to read sometimes, guys. It's okay. Like we don't have to have just 20 words or what is it, like 20 words a panel or so. Is that like the rule, like that some people
something
live
like
by?
that? Yeah, I think something like that. Especially if you got like a 9-panel page. But yeah, we were trying to use so this is a big action-oriented part of the chapter, but we tried to use that as a way to illustrate, kind of marry our exposition with the action to kind of flesh out the world. So in this chapter, we kind of learn how Nick, one of our 2 leads, is what we like to call an arcane assassin. He works for a secret society. And so this is an opportunity to kind of like flesh out his deal, how he operates, the tools he uses. And then after that, we get some more. Our other lead is Jezzy, and we spend some more time with her. And as she meets some of our other female leads in the comic, and kind of again, this is in a lot of ways, especially for her part, it's a coming of age story, because I'm a sucker of like pairing, somebody, a coming of age story with, a hard ass. So like if anybody's seen Dread, the good one, you've got
whoa, they're both really good.
Agree to disagree. No,
Judge Dredd.
But like
show's over. We're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody back everybody's Kickstarters. It's done.
you're able to pair like an emotional arc with a character that's not gonna go on much of is just not built to have that kind of same emotional arc. So you get a little bit of 2 great tastes that go great together, I like to think.
Yeah. So I see the volume 1 reprint has the Danny cover.
No, the volume 1 reprint has the it's the Heather Vaughn cover. Yeah, I hate to break it to everybody.
The Danny is just Nick. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You missed
this is when the live goes downhill, ladies. Sometimes you can be wrong.
Yeah, so this is the reprint has the original Heather Vaughn cover that's been recolored by Francesca Cilarelli. Okay. It's going back to the printers for second printing. We also have exclusive tarot cards that you can get with the comic. And so we had 3 tarot cards last time, 2 more this time, 5 total. You can get they're either paired with different perks or tiers, or you can get them as add-ons. CAP Ward worked on those tarot cards. They're really cool. It's one of my favorite parts of the campaign.
That's starting to be a new deal. So I love the Kickstarter trends are so interesting, right? Like I remember like everybody does prints. Everybody was doing the prints. And then like the regular trading card deal came up, right? Like so then everybody got trading cards. That was the deal. Trading cards and bookmarks. And I use all of it for bookmarks, and I read multiple books at the same time. So like your tarot cards are used as bookmarks, DJ. I and they work great as bookmarks. And it's always cool because every time like I've been reading Fire Punch, the manga, and I'm using your devil bookmark for that. And so like anytime I open up this like really depressing, intense manga, it's like the devil's staring me in the face. It's interesting. It adds to other books you're reading. But yeah, so anyway, so like we got the trading cards, and then now a handful of people started doing the tarot cards, which are also really cool. And now people are doing pogs. We've gone from like trading cards to tarot cards to pogs. And I'm just like, this evolution of like bonus Kickstarter goodies, like I'm just excited to see where it goes. Like I kind of like, I feel like in a couple years it's going to be like, here's a territory branded easy bake oven, and I'm like, why the fuck do I need this? But I'm getting it.
It's in the works.
You can have the extra $75 for that territory easy bake oven, and I can have like, like cookie molds of the great horned beast and the.
It's gonna be like the creepy crawlers. You'll put the gel in. You'll get whatever little creature you want out of it, and yeah, it's easy money right there. Just printing it.
I remember when my buddy got one of those for his birthday, and we were all playing with him, and like his parents like kept reminding us over and over again not to eat them. And we were like, yeah, we get it, we can't eat them. And they got like the special like glow in the dark paints. Like at night, we were like all playing with our like fake tie-dye glow in the dark scorpions. Holy shit, were you just in my mind, Blake? Like
always, man.
We just shared this like really intimate creepy crawly toy like moment. Anyways, so yeah, but anyways, it's funny to see how all this new stuff for Kickstarter like add-ons. It's exciting. It's interesting.
Well, I was gonna say like when you're running a Kickstarter, you're like thinking about shipping. Like that's our biggest bane. We all hate shipping. We all hate it. So like you ship in like the flat comic book boxes, like the Gemini mailers. And so when you think about stretch goals and like cool stuff you can do, you're just basically like, all right, what's the coolest flat thing?
Yeah, that's why I don't do pins anymore.
My people. Yeah. And it was prints, trading cards, and I guess Pogs is next on the lineup.
Yeah.
So.
It's got to be small too, because I did a big poster the first time and that did not work. So yeah, you gotta. There's a size. It's got to be flat. It can't be heavy.
Which is funny because AJ, you've got a couple T-shirts and stuff you can get on your campaign.
Yeah, I do got T-shirts, but I just kind of had a little workaround where I do third-party shipping with them, so like people aren't getting burned with shipping or anything like that.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like you fold them real tight. You're like, no, I got a way to fold them. I fold them real tight.
They're just
extra, those little vacuum seal things.
They're extra padding for the book.
Yeah, that's like the comic. Like,
we
don't bag and board it. We just wrap it in this T-shirt, stuff it in a Gemini mailer. Send it. Hopefully your mailman doesn't like bend your fucking package in half in your mailbox like an asshole. It's not our fault if he did though.
Nah, I'm lucky. I found a third party that will like ship separately, and I just figured out all the pricing and stuff like that. So it's all good.
I've had a couple people I've talked to that were like, I've been on Kickstarter a few times now. First one we did beer mugs or pint glasses and T-shirts, and they're like, guess what we'll never do again? Pint glasses and T-shirts. Fuck everybody. You can have the comic and that's it. So it seems like I know shipping is like the funnest thing, which is funny because these are things like when I started doing Blake's Buzz, like I never really like understood that part, right? Like when I talked to David Papose and he talked about like one day his post office was so tired of his bullshit they turned him away with a cart full of like Kickstarter fulfillment. And like I never thought of that, like, you know, I like to bag and board. Like when I wait till like I have a whole shit ton of comics to bag and board, and then I order like $60-$70 worth of bags and boards, and then like I'll watch like you know a show or something and it's very like the monotony of it all is kind of soothing and stuff, and it's like okay, and then I've heard some people say like okay, yeah, a little bit for Kickstarter fulfillment, but also it's like no, like fuck my life kind of. I have like Gemini mailers all over my house. I live in a fucking condo in whatever city. Like I have a fucking brand new dog that wants to eat these things. Like I've heard all these like stories and I was like, holy shit. Like I never understood I never thought about that of like, oh, like, yeah, like you make this comic and then it happens and then you print it and then they ship like 500 or however many comics to your house. And then you got to like check them and make sure they're not bent and fucked up and all that. And then you got to like package them. And then you got to be like, oh, this person ordered the extra $2 sticker or the amulet or like the stuffed animal or the t-shirt or the pogs, like, you know, and you got to like put all this, like, I never thought about that till I started talking to you guys. And I was like, oh shit, that's intense. What I think we should all do, right? Cause like everybody talks about how now that we're older, like it's really bullshit when you ask your friends to move. They're like be a fucking adult and hire movers. Cause like your friends are over 30. They don't want to throw their back out for like 2 slices of pizza and a couple beers. But like, what if you had like a Kickstarter party with like pizza and beer and you're like, all right, Jay, like you're on bags and boards and then you're on bubble wrap and then like you add the stickers and then you put them in the Gemini and then I'll tape it all up. Like you could have this like conveyor belt of friendship. And I think that should be the new, like, you know, moving party, but not because like I would do that for pizza and beer. Like I would hang out for a few hours and help pack stuff. But like, guess what I don't want to do? Like carry your fucking recliner down 2 flights of stairs when it's fucking 103 degrees outside. I don't want to do that at all, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta
steal my ideas, guys. They're here for you to take for your fulfillment.
Well, I'll just quickly say, and then I'll like throw it back to DJ because I don't want to cut into his time. We tried the Kickstarter party and it lasted a week. So
long party.
Yeah.
Not enough pieces.
That's like a Kickstarter music festival. What did you do? Like, what?
It just took a while because there were so many pieces and parts. The first Kickstarter I did had like just a bunch of pieces. So anyway.
Yeah, add-ons make it tricky now too.
What's up, El Crudo? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I hear add-ons are a different kind of beast. That's why a lot of people are using Backer Kit. I know you got to pay to use Backer Kit, and sometimes that's not in everybody's budget. But basically, I hear like if you're on Kickstarter and you have add-ons, they're basically like, fuck you, find out, figure it out, have fun, buddy, bye. And whereas like if you pay for Backer Kit, it kind of like helps you organize all that. Is that
it helps organize, but it makes it trickier just because it used to be like you could just do, well, everybody that got this tier gets the same thing, boom, 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 boom. Everybody that got this tier gets the same thing, boom, 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 boom. And now it's like, well, everybody that got this tier, 5 of them got this plus this, so now they're a thing. And then these 2 people, you know what I mean? So it makes it makes everything even more modular.
And so you can't factor shipping. Shipping's like the big X factor.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's cool because people can add extra stuff, but like it's just another thing to figure out.
You're like, we want to sell you more stuff, but also like, no, we don't.
Sums it up.
Like I would love for you to like get these other things, but like you're making my life an absolute living hell, you bastards.
Well, I think the hope is that you make enough that you can have somebody else have to worry about it. You can have like somebody that does the packaging for you, the shipping for you.
But that's cutting into cost big time too. When you
I've never hit a number that I was able to do that, but I think that's the dream.
That's funny. I used to joke around and tell people that like I would feel rich if I could pay someone to like do my laundry for me. Like I feel like that's when because you know like people that have like people come clean their house, they always like pre-clean their house before the cleaners come over, or at least that's what my parents do. And like they have to kind of clean. But I was like, man, if I could just like pay someone enough money to be like, here's all my fucking laundry. Here's this fucking underwear from a hot day that my dog chewed on. Sorry. Like, you know, like if you can wash all that for me and I don't have to fuck with it, like I've made it. And I guess that makes sense. Like if I can get it, but getting a fulfillment center is very similar to Blake's Buzz's dream of never having to wash his own underwear. This is why you guys come on my show. So we can find these like this connective tissue, right? That makes the muscle move, that makes the comics fly off the shelves. This is why we're here to have good times like this. But then, so yeah, it is. I'm sure it would be easier. And that's one of the things I think is cool about Kickstarter, though, is like, you know, you guys have to do all this yourself. A lot of people can't, afford fulfillment centers. You know, they often, you know, you gotta find all this. You gotta do your own promo, right? You gotta go talk to weirdos like me. You gotta fucking make sure everybody knows your campaign's live. And then once it's live, you gotta find like the good printer. And I keep, you know, like there's a whole lot of shit to talk about now with printers, right? Like, you know, do we print domestically? Do we print internationally? Do we save that money, but risk having 3, 4, or 5 month delays? Like these are all things that like you guys are having to deal with that I don't think the average consumer notices, because I see these fucking little prick motherfuckers mouth off online like, oh, I backed this Kickstarter like however many months ago and still haven't gotten it. And I was like, hey motherfucker, there's shit going on in the world right now, buddy. Like there's some drama, pal. Like you need to slow your roll. You need to not tag these creatives that are like trying to bust their ass to put these indie comics out, and like know that like you guys can't control all those factors, right? And so you got to deal with that too. And I'm sure like I've heard of like people getting aggravated of like not enough Kickstarter updates, or like you didn't mention this or this changed, and like, you know, it's just, you gotta deal with a bunch of little whiny little piss babies on top of like putting out your comics. And like, how the fuck do you guys do it? Like, how do you like, there's so much stress involved, and on top of just like finishing the narrative and okay, time out real quick. Cole's popping in and it wants to know if Leslie's got a new favorite burrito.
It has not changed since the other day.
well, what was I saw they tweeted you were on their show. What's your
last I said I was going kind of like a surf and turf, so shrimp, ground beef, some sour cream, guac, some white rice with cilantro on there, and
like Chipotle style. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we're about to time out everybody. We're about to go around the room. Like, thanks, Cole. Cole just fucking train wrecked the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna talk about. I'm a fan of surf and turf as well. Steak and shrimp go together like fucking Blake and comics. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. But let's go around. AJ, what's your go-to burrito?
It's got to be just classic steak, man. Chipotle's steak burritos.
All right. Okay. So, all right. What's your Chipotle order? I'm behind the glass, baby. I'm about to toast the tortilla. What do you want?
No, I'm gonna hand it over to Blake. I'm just a simple man. Steak burrito.
All right, Blake. What's your go-to burrito?
I'm kind of with Leslie on this one. There's a place here in Colorado that does like, it's kind of like a Baja style fish and potato with like some like a little Baja sauce, a little like kind of coleslaw type mix in there, and it's good. It's different, but it's kind of my go-to now.
All right. DJ, you a burrito guy? Are you a taco guy? Please be like, I don't even like burritos.
No. I'm good with either. I tend to go with like steak, get a little onion, get a little green pepper in there, some cheese. Then I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So maybe a little like not too spicy, but spicy sauce in there. You know?
All right. What about you, Wyndi?
She gone.
I'm more of a taco. I'm from Texas. Like breakfast tacos all day. It's got to be chorizo, egg, and cheese with a little bit of salsa verde.
Yeah. Okay.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna fuck with that because my favorite burrito is a chorizo breakfast burrito. I like roasted potatoes, seasoned well roasted potatoes, chorizo, eggs, and maybe like some like Oaxaca cheese, like real good, like melty, almost mozzarella cheese. Wrap that up in burrito. Queso blanco, like pour that over that motherfucker with some like some diced my brain quit working, guys. That's that green pepper, just diced jalapeno. Jesus Christ. Diced jalapeno, throw that on top.
He just made a taco enchilada.
Yeah, tried the Cole burrito. He's next
level
with
this. What is this? Orange chicken?
It's a
man,
story.
What do you want, like fucking fried rice in there too, you weirdo? What are you doing with this fucking Cole? Maybe a toothpick? Orange chicken on a tortilla. You gotta put the fried rice in there, right? And then maybe like chop up a fucking crab rangoon, get some like crunchy crab goo in there too. I would do that. This isn't a burrito anymore though. We're just on like a different level egg roll, I feel like. Anyways, did you guys know you were gonna come on here and talk about food? Shoulda known. food, coffee, and comics go together like the wonders of the universe. All right. So anyway, DJ, sorry we got sidetracked, but yes, I am super excited that
now I want coffee.
Yeah, I always want coffee. I wish coffee and sandwiches are very similar in the fact that they always taste better when someone makes them for you. A lot of times, like I'll make like a nice sandwich and I eat it. I'm just like, eh. I have like a nice espresso machine. I'll like make like a nice latte and I'm like, nah. Someone makes that shit for me though, and I'm like, it just hits different. Like I didn't have to do anything and it's just better. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, DJ, we were talking about you're doing the tarot cards, which are super dope. The first ones were really nice. And then you've got some cool variant covers to choose from. You've got a really cool protagonist. Jezzy is awesome. And I want to know more. I want to know more about her and Nick, like both. Yeah. And I'm also excited to like watch their relationship progress. And I also love I always get nervous because I don't like know what we're allowed to talk about. Like, because I know like some people haven't read a lot of, you've got returning audience, obviously. So like, is his name Gap? Like Gap?
Yeah, Gap. Yeah. Look that one up. Gap. Yeah. A demon that is mentioned in volume 1 and now is a more prominent feature in volume 2.
And you've also got a demonic the Thing. You've got like this similar Fantastic Four character who's nothing like Ben Grimm. But for a half a second he might be Ben Grimm.
No, yeah, Gabriel. That character's named Gabriel Stoneman. You're gonna find out all about him in volume 2. He's a very tragic figure. He's a very tragic figure, and actually, his backstory was done by. We had a couple guest artists drop in very cool. Kaylee Rowena did Gabriel Stoneman's backstory, a little 2-page backstory for him. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of really cool artists working on this project.
There's just a lot of cool people, period, working on your fucking book, dude. Like, you're one of them. I don't want to like cup you up too high, and like I don't want to like lift you up like fucking the Lion King, right? And you know, sing the Elton John song, but like I kind of do also, because like this comic is just cool, and especially at a time right now when people are fucking assholes and people want to like point fingers and tell people who they are and how they need to be and how they need to live their life. I'm really glad that you're showcasing a non-normative protagonist who's going through something very intense, and just to the tension, right, that comes in deciding to do this, but also the weight of pressure on you and your co-writer to like talk about transitioning while in this like demonic cultish narrative of a kind of like, you know, horror action, and also to like kind of throw that in there. I just think it's really cool. You know, that's one of my, like, right now Miss Marvel is live right now, and most people are digging it, and I'm really digging it, and it reminds me of like G Willow's run, and that was one of the cool things about her run, was like it's such a pure superhero story, but also there's these little glimpses of this life and this culture and this thing I know nothing about.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to learn that. And you've done that in your first arc with like being not only being trans, but also like coming out, like just like a general coming out story. And like, that's just like, that's fucking gnarly, dude.
Well, it's interesting. I think Miss Marvel is a great example, because that's something that, like, you know, like I mentioned, I grew up in a Baptist community. So on paper, my upbringing is completely different than that character's, Kamala Khan's upbringing. But when you watch it, it's like it was still like a kind of a religiously more conservative community. So there's a lot of parallels. And what you kind of realize is that for all our differences, a lot of our stories, our experiences are the same. You know what I mean? Especially if you're growing up in America. And so that's a core idea of the book, is this idea that like it's just a coming of age story. So some of the specifics are different, and it's important to get those specifics, be as true to those specifics as possible. But at the end of the day, I feel like even if that's not your story, there's something you can relate to it, because we all had to grow up and figure out who we are.
Yeah.
And at the core, that's what this is about, is kind of figuring out, even Nick, who's your more stoic, badass character. We like to compare him as like he's a mix of John Constantine and John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even him, he's figuring out, like, because we're all doing that all the time. It's not just when you're young, you're figuring out who you are every day. You're kind of figuring out who you are, who you want to be. And that's a core part of the story.
That's a shout out to Chaos and Comics. Thanks for tuning in, bud. Yes, I agree. And now, have you, all right, is your audience like into it, or have you gotten like, I don't know. I always want to ask, like, is there drama, or like have people been like kind of open to it and been like, no, I'm digging this? Like, are they with you on this character story?
Yeah, so far we're really good. I keep worrying that, like, you know, because part of the core of it is kind of a what I thought might be a leap for some people, which is the concept that, you know, because Jesse has a conflicted relationship with her father, and her father's the devil. And part of it is saying that, like, in a lot of fiction, we depict the devil as kind of like fun, good time guy. And in our book, it's like, well, no, he's basically a religious fascist. Like, he loves God so much that he hates humanity.
Yeah.
And I always kind of thought that, and to kind of get what we're trying to do with the book, you need to understand that first. And I always thought, I wonder if that'd be too much of a hurdle with somebody, just because of the way the devil's tends to be depicted. And so far, everybody's like, no, yeah, I get it. And I was like, okay, cool. We all came up in America. We get it. Okay, cool. Got it. I
like how it was the devil you were worried about. Like, is this character, did I get it right?
Well, no, it's just kind of because I think to understand who Jesse is in a relationship to, you know, when you say your lead is an antichrist, it's like, wait, hold on. What do you mean? Well, to understand that, you need to understand what the devil represents in our story. And so occasionally I just got somebody commenting on a post I did the other day that was kind of like, well, why don't you kind of like something along the lines of ridicule other religions. Like, well, hold on, we're not ridiculing anybody. We're not ridiculing any religious beliefs or practice. We tend to use the mythology and iconography of kind of Western Christianity because that's what Jane and I came up in. This is what we're the most familiar with. We treat it kind of irreverently because why not? It's the most prominent religion in our country. It can take a few hits. Like, we're not gonna this comic's not gonna take down the patriarchy or anything. You know what I mean?
I mean, it'd be cool if it fucking did. But...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it.
no
just,
pressure.
Just realistically, you know what I mean. It can take a few hits. You know, we can punch up a little bit. And it's also, again, you can be reverent with it because we're familiar with it. I read the Bible 3 times cover to cover. Like, I know the source material. So, we're not trying to this is not an anti-faith book. It's just using the trappings of religious establishment to tell this story. So a little bit, but fortunately we haven't had a lot of, because I worry about some bigger backlash, but I don't think we're mainstream enough for the culture warriors to like try and plant their flag on our Kickstarter. So
that's good. No one needs that shit.
Yeah.
But
I have to say, DJ, as someone who has 2 trans children, I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad. I hope. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's cool. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, just trying to do trying to do positive stuff. Like, it's an adult oriented comic. There's all the stuff, sex, drugs, rock and roll, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, trying to send a positive message, tell a positive story, and just trying to make the world a better place through stories.
I don't know many other comics that I've seen like you like kick it off with like just massive dick, just like,
well,
there's like opening scene, like big hard cock, right? Like unavoidable.
Page number 2. Well, and it's funny. So you've been asking people about Kickstarter. Here's advice I can give. A lot of times with the Kickstarter, you want to give at least the first few pages, give people a taste of it. In those first few pages, so normally it's at least the stuff I do, it's like the first 6 pages. So note to self, note to everybody, don't have in your first 6 pages a massive demon horse cock, because then you're not going to be able to put it on the Kickstarter, and then you're going to struggle to be like, oh, what do I show people? What do I show people? If you'll notice the pages that are on volume 2, none of that you got to go deeper into the book to get to that. I learned my lesson.
And spinning off of this crisis of faith, which Blake is also doing he's doing a kaiju comic, but it's very centered around this like this kaiju infused religion. And this new issue, which I got the pleasure to read early, is very much, it's like centered around a crisis of faith. Like, there's one of the main characters, like Nebo, he says, like, he's got this great line like in the middle of the comic. He's like, well, what if faith isn't enough? And that's like a really scary thing to say. Like, if you're into religion, if you're like in it to win it, and this is like part of your life, to like hit that moment, that crisis of faith where you're like, whoa, like, what if this isn't how life is? Like, what if things could be better? What if things could be different? What if we should ask questions, right? God forbid. What if we should ask questions? Like, that's what boggles my fucking mind, is how we can be fucking humans and like get attached to these organizations that remind us to like not ask questions. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, regardless, like Blake's territory is dealing with this, and it's dealing with it in like the midst of a will they, won't they romantic relationship, a kaiju battle of the ages, new beings, new characters, and issue 3 is a big fucking issue for territory. And to call that a big issue when we're dealing with kaiju, right? Like, that's huge. That's massive. And so like, Blake, like, how's issue 3 feel, man? Because like, I loved issue 1 and 2. Like, they were great, right? But issue 3, and this is going to be 5 total, right? So like, you're shooting for 5, and like, you have just opened some floodgates, baby. Like, there's shit coming, and shit's going to change, and everything's going to change for our characters. And so, yeah, issue 3 is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. You should hop on this train. There's catch-up tiers. Do it. Like, where did this come from, dude? Because you like, dude, you like, we hit the ground running in issue 1, right? And then issue 2 filled in some world building, and then issue 3 we go on this fucking religious retreat, and fucking all hell fucking breaks out, dude. Like, how did you structure this? Like, how did you get to this point? Like, you just like you oh man, you got an already excited audience even more excited. Like, and this is first comic, guys. Like, Blake had this idea and made this comic, and he's had 2 successful campaigns. He's into his 3rd. It's gonna fun, it's gonna be great, it's gonna do fine. And like, but this is his like first deal. Like, this is his first time to the dance, and he's fucking cutting it up on the dance floor, motherfuckers. Like, he's fucking like this. You're gonna have to like double wax the gymnasium. I mean, this mixer.
Clearly, you've never seen me dance, because that would not be the metaphor you're using for this. But I appreciate the sentiment. And actually, just listening to DJ, it was funny just how kind of similar thematically our stories sounded. But I appreciate that. As far as issue 3 specifically, this was definitely my favorite issue to write for a lot of the reasons you mentioned. And in a lot of ways, this is kind of the climax of the story. You know, this is right in the middle. So it's, the first 2 issues, it definitely wasn't just world building. We tried to have a lot going on. We tried to make it exciting, but this takes everything that you've learned in those first 2 issues and just runs with it at full speed, turns it on its head, and it doesn't really stop for the rest of the story. So this was the most fun one to write. There's basically a giant kaiju battle going on throughout the entire issue, which was, that was when I knew I wanted to write a comic. The first thing I knew was I wanted to do a kaiju comic. So this was kind of me fulfilling that dream of, I want to see big monsters, fighting for 20 pages and see what the outcome is. But then as far as like the faith that you were talking about, and DJ, I think a lot of the topics you talked about, those were topics that I was trying to hit too. And I think they are especially relevant kind of in today's world for also some of the reasons we were talking about early. And while mine doesn't deal with gender issues or anything like that, it does deal with that idea of kind of, the potential intellectual suppression that comes by being raised in a very, in a very particular way. And again, just like we're not trying to bash on any one religion or even religion in particular. We're just, the concept of this story is when you have people who are raised to only believe one thing, and then you challenge that belief, and something happens that makes them question their belief, how do they react? Do they grow? Do they change it? Do they, double down? And so we have a variety of characters, and each of those characters is going to react differently, just like people would in real life. And so it's been a fun coming of age story. Alkia is a girl who's, I would define her as a girl who's on the cusp of womanhood. She's kind of in her mid to late teens. She's starting to get romantic feelings for one of the other tribe members. She's starting to really value her own independence, but at the same time, she still listens a lot to this sort of spiritual leader, to her parents. She's very influenced by those around her. And so she grows up in this very zealous environment where they devoutly follow this kaiju, the great horn, that bear one you see there, as a god. And now with this issue, she sees her god struggle for the first time, and it kind of turns everything on the head, and everything that she thought she knew is, maybe no longer true. And so she's got to figure out, how does this impact my beliefs? Do I change them? And the people around her that she is influenced by, they're also going through similar things. So just, it's fun doing all the kaiju stuff, but then trying to ground it with that, coming of age and how do we deal with our beliefs being challenged. It was a really fun part to write.
I'm going to say, you just sounded real fucking smart, Blake. And I like,
it's a lie.
No, you're a lie. That's a lie. I was about to say you're a lie. You're not a lie. Like that, everything you said, like you really hit the magic of this comic. Earlier I was telling my buddy, I'm reading a Valiant comic, the Armor Clad, right? And it reminds me of Starship Troopers. And I remembered like an old lit teacher who told me like Starship Troopers, the novel, is like, it's this really impressive, like philosophical, like gaze into how, you know, society and militarism and how those blend and service to one's country, right? It's like a huge commentary and it's super heavy and you can easily pull it apart, but it's disguised under this guise of under this gaze of a sci-fi militaristic action romp where we fight giant bugs, right? And that's what you're doing right now. You're bringing us many different moments to both critique and attach ourselves to faith. Like, oh yes, I've felt that before. I felt that comfort, right? But then also like, oh yes, I've asked these questions and I felt that discomfort in people like telling me not to ask those questions, right? And you're giving us this tapestry of that dialogue to open itself while masking it in the gaze of a fucking giant kaiju battle and this, like, you know, these new cultures and stuff. And it lets you be super heavy with the narrative while not feeling that heavy, because you kind of like distract us with the funness of giant monsters, and then you also, like, you know, make us like use our brains within the narrative in regards to this like crisis of faith, and it's structured really well. And like, it's really irritating to me as someone who wants to write that this is your first comic and you just like did that like naturally and all chill like, and then you're like, yeah, you know, I'm just like here doing this thing, but you do it really well, man. And issue 3 is awesome. And like, and I feel like with every, because I, you know, we follow each other, so I see when people, you know, talk about your comic, and then when they find it and they're like, holy shit, like this is really cool, this is exciting. Or when you've been on other shows and people listen to you talk, and like, were you like raised, like, do you come from like a religious background? Like, or was this like your escape from it when you're like, the only way I can wrestle with this monster of faith is by making other monsters of faith and let them fight? Like,
yeah, no, I actually, so I'm an atheist. I was raised non-religious. I would say, especially my dad was critical of religion, and I think a lot of my, you know, kind of general views as to, you know, wanting to look at things critically and look beyond, you know, just sort of taking things at face value comes from there. What I think a lot of this came from is just, you know, and like we've kind of talked about, there's so many issues in society today that in one way or another kind of tie back to people's faith. And, you know, regardless of what that is, like it affects so many different people. And that was one thing that I was really trying to do with this story, is kind of make it universal. And the kaijus were a good way of doing that. Like, you know, the kaijus represent God, represent belief, but they don't represent necessarily any particular belief. So anyone who's, even if it's not religious, you know, but everyone has had their belief in something shaken at one point, whether it's a person or religion or, you know, some sort of, you know, thing that you just really looked up to or aspired to. And then when your belief in that gets shaken, like, that's just kind of a universal truth that we all have to deal with, and at whatever level it is for each person. And so this just tries to really, you know, look at, no matter what you are, no matter what you believe in, you know, you're going to have your beliefs, you're going to have your faith in, you know, whatever institution's tested. How do you process that? How do we as humans process that? And, you know, how do we think critically to hopefully, you know, improve our ability to understand things? And also, you know, how can we communicate with those around us so that we're not, you know, we don't kind of devolve into what we've unfortunately seen going on a lot right now, where everyone is just, you know, so mad at each other because they can't agree on anything, but rather than talk about it, they just blame each other for other things. And so trying to, you know, show that we can, you know, you can have your faith tested in whatever it is, and you can figure out a way to kind of learn from that and improve.
That's awesome. Shout out to David Azan. He is correct. There are some wonderfully talented folks in the chat tonight, and congrats to releasing Nottingham issue 8 today. It was out in shops on Wednesday. Yes, that's right. The writer of Nottingham watches my show. It's fucking weird. I don't get it either. He's a sweet, beautiful man, and we appreciate him for it. But no, Blake, that is super. That I love that. I love that because it is hard. It's hard to start a dialogue with people, especially when they push buttons, right? And like when you push the right buttons, it's really hard to discuss your issue, right? It's we get too defensive, we go on attack. We have these numerous ways of where we kind of lash out when people cross us the wrong way, and when we have lost that lately. I feel like we've lost that ability to discourse is often mentioned in a negative way, right? Like when people are like, oh, the comic books discourse on Twitter today, it's like, ooh, what the fuck's going on now? But like discourse isn't a bad thing. Like discourse is good. We should all talk about stuff. We should talk about stuff. We should talk about our feelings. We should talk about how we feel about things. And again, I understand that like these aren't easy things to talk about, because like once everybody starts talking about the wonderful things, like a lot of people don't want to talk about wonderful things, and a lot of people have not wonderful opinions, and so it gets into this like really weird clusterfuck territory of like of exhaustion, basically. But I do think you're doing it in a good way. Same with DJ. When the way you guys are talking about faith, that's like the ultimate trauma, right? Like that the ultimate trauma is the crisis of faith. That's been done through literature for centuries, right? And that's we deal with that in the Bible, like the crisis of faith, how people overcame it and came to like find God and celebrate that finding, and how their lives changed, and how scripture was formed, and yada yada yada. And so to come up with a new way to put that on the table and make your audience like comfortable to talk about it, like I dig that. Have you gotten any like any negative feedback, like people backing your Kickstarter and be like, you quit being so preachy, I want to watch this giant bear fight this giant lizard turtle thing? Like have you gotten any of that, or has it been pretty chill? Are they stealing what you're feeling?
So far, nothing like that. And I think that's one thing that with this book, it kind of helps, because like you've got people here, like there's been fans, the kaiju community, who have kind of picked up this book, and like, a lot of them, like they don't necessarily care about what, the human part of it is. Like this book has kind of a couple different target audiences. There's some people that just want to see the monsters fight. And so, they don't necessarily care about the human interaction. Like, fortunately we've got a really talented art team. The monsters look great. The fights look great. So it's, you get a lot of that. And then otherwise, I think, like I said, just being able to kind of use the kaiju as metaphors kind of softens the blow for a lot of people, because they're like, well, they're not talking about me, they're not talking about what I believe in. It's just kind of a general look at belief and faith, and and that's still obviously a touchy subject for people, but I think when you make it not as personal as far as what you're directly referencing, like that can kind of avoid some of that discourse. And it's also, I'm at the point now where I think the people that are backing the book kind of understand what I'm trying to do, and they follow me on promotions and stuff. It doesn't have a big enough audience for someone who might be offended to kind of pick it up and be like, oh, this looks cool, and then read it and be like, well, that wasn't what I wanted. Like if at this point, if you're following it, you're probably at least fairly aware of what the themes are and all that. So I think that's helped too.
So you're in the give no fucks territory. You're like listen, you've been, this is your third time for the Blake McCarthy show. Like, if you don't like it, kick rocks, basically. But we like it. Like, so like no one's kicking rocks, baby. Like we're fucking kicking our feet up, hanging out ready to read that new issue. Like that's what you're doing in a really smart and intriguing way. And I fucking love it, dude. Like I love it. And I love the questions, just like with DJ's narrative. I love the questions you make us ask as we turn these pages, right? Like, yeah, I'm invested in these characters. I want to know what happens. I want to see how things progress. Yes, I love your fucking art team. Your art team's fucking incredible. Like no one's going to deny that. I want to watch these giant monsters fight, right? But I kind of also I also want to see your characters hook up. I'm not gonna lie. Like I want to see. I don't need like some like intense like full penetration comic book scene in the narrative, but like They haven't even kissed yet, have they? Am I correct in that? Like they haven't even. There's been hand touching. There's been some weighted dialogue, but there hasn't even been any lip locking yet. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking thirsty for it. Like when I watched the OC in fucking early college days, man, it's like I'm feeling like those Seth and Summer vibes, baby. And like I just want I want this hookup to happen. I don't even want the hookup. Like I want, like they're almost in love, basically. Like they're very fond of each other. And there's also this like Romeo and Juliet-esque of like, you can't be together yet because of our faith. Again, like like this religion is like, you need to focus on this and keep that dick out of your mouth mentality right now. Right. And it's like, sorry, that was crude, but that's who I am. But like the will they, won't they? I love it. And I love that, again, these are little building blocks in your narrative of like crisis of faith, crisis of love, unrequited love, like the irritation of like being so infatuated with someone and not being on the same level, right? Because like she's on a different level of God than he is, and they're actually they've had in issue 2, they had some like they had an argument about it. Like we saw that tension start to build. And so like I love these little building blocks that are adding to the tension of the narrative, adding to the weight of the narrative on top of these giant fucking monsters fighting. And I won't spoil anything, but I got lucky enough to read issue 3, and issue 3 is gonna fucking flip everything on its back. And audience, you're going to be sitting there like watching it scramble, trying to flip over and walk again, because there's a whole lot of new information coming that's really exciting that like I just can't wait for these final 2 issues to deal with. And like, dude, I'm excited. Like Blake, you have amped up your writing. Like I'm serious, man. Like from 1 was awesome, 2 got better, 3 just opened the fucking floodgates. And it's like, whoa. And it's like, it's really cool to like get to know you as a person and watch you evolve as a writer, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to be like super cheesy and say is that like, you're fucking like growing out your writing chops, buddy. And you're fucking laying it down on the page, and it's good. It's really good, man.
Well, thank you. I think a big reason that I think you've seen the improvement 2 is, for issue 1, I didn't have an editor. Issue 2, I brought Nicole DeAndrea on board as an editor, and that was
she makes everything better.
She does.
Everybody can say that.
Yep. My biggest regret of this whole series is that I didn't have her on issue 1, just because, especially as a newer writer, but also I think, it's just when you have a story in your head as a writer, you have a very specific idea of what it is, and it kind of lives in your head and you know it really well, but translating that to something that other people can understand is very hard. And so having that editor is kind of like having that person that can, you can kind of talk to. They're trying to understand what you're doing, but then they're like, I get what you're going for. Here's how to deliver it. And I think that she really elevated the like the storytelling, the pacing. She understands so many of those elements more than I did or do. And so that I think definitely helps. And then going back a little bit to what you were talking about with the characters. So yeah, Alkia is the main character, and then Nebo's the other one. Alkia is female, Nebo's male, and they're both about the same age. And like you said, they have a very obvious attraction for each other, but it's in a kind of a very early stage, like kind of teenage flirting, clearly attracted, but not not necessarily. They haven't really figured out what that means yet, and it was really fun setting them up because Alkia she's very devout, she's very zealous in this belief. And then Nebo is more cynical. He's more practical in what he believes. And writing both characters has been really interesting because it also challenged me as a person and as a writer. I have my beliefs, but having to kind of look at both sides of the issue and write characters that feel, that whose beliefs feel real and who feel relatable. So you're not preaching at anyone. You're showing kind of both sides of the story through different, these 2 people who believe very valid things. They just believe them differently. And then watching them try to reconcile their beliefs, for each other, for their relationship. it really helps me kind of, put a lot of the, conflict and thoughts on these subjects I have into it in a way that is interesting to read and comes out as a story rather than me just, preaching at someone, hey, this is what I think about it. So I'm glad that's what it's coming across, and their relationship has been really, really fun to write. I hope people get invested in them. Their arc through the comics is through this series is, I think, going to be one that the people who are invested will really remember, because there's this there's a lot of, they're kind of the two main metaphors for both sides of the argument, basically. And so to see how it plays out, I think is really interesting. And it was really fun to, as an intellectual exercise, just to write it out, through other people's views.
I'm really excited for your future comic book projects, because I think you've taken a lot of risks with territory, especially with character writing, and embracing tropes and cliches is a risk, right? So like a lot of people don't realize that, but like if you can, the cliches are there to like, it's an easy way to attach your audience, right? But to utilize those correctly, you have to, execute them in a unique way, and you're doing that. You're kind of using some like not forbidden tropes, like but just like there are things that we've seen in stories before, and because of this world you've made, and because of this conflict, and because of this weird religion you've built around, and the culture you've built around all this, like you're able to execute these kind of like ultra normative kind of character clashings that hit different. And so I'm really excited for you to like take that risk in your first mini series. Like I'm so stoked to see how this ends, because I love it. But like I'm really excited, like your next comic book project, like I'm just excited to see what it is, because you can't have an idea like this and not have something else in your back pocket. Like you've got a natural gusto right in your fingertips when you're tapping on these keys that comes out in your scripts. And like, I don't know, like I'm excited to see like where you, because if this is where you're starting, you're already building an audience on Kickstarter. Like you're like a new idea, a new campaign, a new series. I don't think it's going to be as stressful as it would be for other people, because I think people are going to follow you because they have faith in your storytelling. So I'm really excited to see what you do next, but not to disregard like territory, because I'm so excited to see where territory ends. I'm so excited to see what you do with these 5 issues, where our characters end up. I'm really excited to see what else crawls out of the ocean, because I feel like we're not done there either. And I'm also really excited for your other variant covers, because like your campaign has some real fucking good variant covers, man. And I just as someone, this is your first series, is your first mini series, and I think you're doing a lot of stuff right that a lot of people struggle with. And I think it's cool, like like whether it's other campaigns you backed, or talking to other creatives on Kickstarter, or how you got to this place. Like you're in a really good place, Blake. Like I really hope that. Like I was so like I felt honored you wanted to come back on my show. Same with Leslie. Like when I see talent in people, like I like to think I know a little bit about what's going on in our indie community, and what good comics are and what aren't. And I know talent when I see it, and I know good comics when I read them. And so like when you guys come on my show and introduce me to that, and then when you guys come back, like I feel honored. I'm like, holy shit, like these guys know what they're fucking doing. They're coming back. And so I just appreciate you, man. And I'm excited I hope more people get into your campaign. And I'm there for 4 and 5, and I'm proud to have Blake's Buzz printed on your thank you page, like, because this is a really good comic, and it's doing so many cool things on top of just the great action and the solid art. There's so much emotion and so much like the tumultuous aspects of faith that you really lay down in your narrative in an unburdensome way. It's very organic and it's very natural. And I really hope that like I run my mouth and I say a lot of shit, but like leave here tonight and know that like you're you're on like a different, you're more leveled up than you think you are, dude. Like you're doing a lot of really intense and great things in your comic book that a lot of people don't do until like several series down the line, right? When that fear lets off, right? And they feel like they can let loose. I feel like you let loose early, and I'm excited to see like where you go now. Like, so,
Well,
don't let me down. No pressure.
Yeah. No, I don't feel any at all. But I mean, like you said, I've backed AJ's book before. I backed Leslie's books before, and that's just it. I think we're lucky with the indie comics community the way it is right now. There's just so many, good books out there, and like you said, there's so many new to discover all the time. Like it's just something where if you're paying attention, there's a lot to learn from. There's a lot of good creators out there. So I think that's the biggest thing, like, for new creators or veteran ones, just, check into what everyone else is doing. Cause there's a lot of really talented people out there, and Kickstarter gives them a platform I think we haven't had in comics for a lot of time. So,
yeah.
It's a great way to get out there and to see really unique, talented voices doing their thing.
No one's at each other's throats. Like we're all on the same team. It's not like a competition. That's what I think about crowdfunding anyway. And then just to we got some people chatting in the audience. I just want to let everybody know that David Hazan loves me, and we're really good friends, I just want everybody to know that that he thinks I'm neat, because I'm never gonna get tired of saying that, David, ever. Don't listen to me talk about paint drying though. That's a different podcast. It didn't do well. We canceled it. It didn't hit off. And then Red dropped a comment about how she is enjoying this faith analysis, which, yes, like that's one of the things I like about my show, is that like I kind of get people out of their comfort zones. Like, yes, we're going to talk about comics, but we're also going to talk about other things. Cause like, what is life but like a fucking tapestry of which to find inspiration, right? Like, maybe did that sound smart? I hope it sounded smart. Anyways, being that Red's coming up, Red is the artist for AJ's for all right, hold on, I can't, my mouse froze. Oh no, what's happening? All right, Red is the artist for AJ's comic Torch, and it's Torch Reclaim the Skies, baby. We're taking back the cosmic narrative and the horizon. We're taking back everything. It's so great. The sci-fi is so great, AJ. Like, where the fuck did you come from, dude? Where did you come from? Where did you find this art team? Like guys, I'm pulling it up right now. Like, this art's gonna blow your fucking mind.
Also, Red, if you're watching, I think we could shoot her a link, right?
Oh yeah, if she wants to come in, we can do that.
Yeah. Red, if you want, or I don't know, she might have dipped in and out, but just message me on Twitter and I'll get you in here.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so all right, so we got here's like number stuff, stretch goals. These are great. Like, yes, I appreciate it. All right, hold on. Oh, okay, all right. Look at this art. My God, it's so good. Oh my God, Torch and Spark. Also, I love Torch and Spark. I love the names. So good. I'm so excited to see their relationship change and get more of that backstory. Man, the dog fighting, the flying, dude. Oh my God. Okay. Now also, I really want this cover. I want this cover in the foil. But I'm poor.
Dude, that's
like, I'm a poor man, but this cover in the foil. I actually thought this. I almost thought this was Liana Kangas when I scrolled by. I thought you had a Liana cover, but it's not. It's Rosie Alexander, and we got like a Jen Bartel-esque palette going on here. But you can get this in a foil cover, which is like, I'm just excited. Like, so yeah, we got some awesome variants. The interiors are even better than the covers. Like, you can get some t-shirts. He's already got issue 2 done. I got to read it. It's fucking dope. Issue 1 was fucking dope. Two issues just out of the park, dude. Like, tell me your secrets, man. Like, you're a fucking good sci-fi writer, bud. Like, you're on it on the sci-fi territory.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know where to start. I mean, I'm just really grateful I have such a great great art team. I like to like pride myself and just like looking for that perfect artist until I find them. Like if I don't feel good about it, I won't do it. Red actually did the cover for the first issue, and my artist for the first issue, his name's Tom Hoskison. He decided that he doesn't want to do comics anymore. He wants to do like cartoon animations, which is like a totally like a very different art style.
Yeah.
So he just kind of said, hey, I want to do cartoons. So I had to find a replacement for Tom, and Red just killed it with the first cover. So I was like, hey, Red, can you do the second issue? And she sent me some sketches of like just of Torch, and I just fell in love with it. Like I was like, this is the one. This is match made in heaven.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine seeing Torch any differently. Like,
oh yeah,
so
totally.
great. Mm-hmm. And the ships, like the way. All right, so like as a script writer, and when you're dealing with an artist, and when you're doing like high concept sci-fi, and you're designing these ships and these worlds and these beings and stuff, like, were you real detailed in like your descriptions of like what you wanted this stuff to look like, or were you just kind of this, maybe this, make it look cool, and then kind of wait till they send, or were you like real detailed about it?
The ship was actually Tom. He and I worked on the ship. Then I just, Red obviously just took it to another level. And so the ship was Tom. I really just trust the artist. I just said like, hey, this is the vibe I'm going for. Like this, I want this one to be menacing, or this one to be like a swarm of bees, stuff like that. So I wouldn't say there was a lot of like nerdy, like, yes, must have a right angle here and stuff like that. I just kind of trusted the artist on that. Any kind of thing that I wanted to do was very like intentional, then I would like write that out. But otherwise, I just left it to Red. And I'm very fortunate that the colorist Daniela, who she did issue 1, she also did issue 2, and she's an absolute gold mine, like hidden gem. I don't know if she's hidden in Italy. I don't know how big she is in Italy. I don't know what the power structure in Italy is like right now. She might be huge. She might be like, I don't know. Italy. But she's
Daniela,
awesome.
Is it Barasone or Barasoni?
Actually, I've never actually spoken to her.
It's one of the two. It's one of the two, ladies and gentlemen.
But Red in here. She'll tell us. Red and Daniela are actually friends. I'm gonna message her. You want in?
But yeah, it's the art. Yeah, art and colors are so great. And then so I was wondering, like, so a lot of comics we get like normal fight scenes, right? Mm-hmm. But in your comic, we get a couple fight scenes. There's like some good bar brawls and some solid action, but then we also get like some really great dog fighting. There's some really fucking dope, like flying in between the panels, breaking sound barriers, like quick moving, super impressive. How do you write that in a script? Like how, or is that like the benefit of like, I have this art team that just gets what I want to do, and I can kind of be like, hey.
Yeah. So a lot of the action sequences, literally some of my scripts are just like action sequence and then like blank, and just throw it in. But then there's other stuff that I'm like very intentional, like, hey, I want you to do this. So like, for example, in the first issue, at one point, a car, which isn't supposed to fly, goes up in the air.
Yes.
And I say, okay, Tom, I want you to write this like a fluttering playing card is falling down. And he got that. Like he got that under metaphor. And then in issue 2, there's a sequence where the ship's guns aren't fully operational. So she has to do some kind of tomfoolery to crash these ships. So that one scene, I described it to her, and then she was like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. And then she filled in the blanks around it. So it was a very like collaborative teamwork thing. She can't go on video. Oh, it's 6 a.m. in Italy.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So hi, Red. But Red's awesome. She did a great job understanding what I was trying to accomplish with like action sequences.
It was Star Wars-esque. Like Marvel Star Wars comics don't do dogfighting as well as you do in Torch. Like I love Marvel Star Wars comics. Like I'm just gonna fucking say that. People can fucking yell at me or whatever, but I'll die on that hill. Like the fucking dogfighting in these 2 issues, mind blowing. Like so great. And that scene that you talked about when Torch has Spark rip out the governor of the car and they hit that ramp and they fly and she fucking sticks her hand out the window, right? And like and that splash panel of like real big, full of emotion, you can tell how much she misses flying and being a pilot. That fucking moved me, dude. Like that rocked my fucking socks. Like it made an already explosive comic explode harder. I mean, like I'm supposed to review comics, and that's a shit way to review it. But like it just made it hit so much emotion, so much action. There's this really great back and forth between Spark and Torch, and we don't really know 100% what happened, but we kind of do, right? Like she flew with their parents. Obviously something happened. They're together now. But I'm really excited to see that relationship blossom. And I'm excited. I'm excited to like, I love the aspects of like Spark sacrificing his normalcy to help Torch regain what she's missing. And I also like it when Torch reels it in to bring some of that normalcy back to Spark. Like they have this really great dynamic that works so well on the page, on top of everything else, right? On top of like the epic dogfighting, the glorious arc, this high action story, this crazy, like there's so much we don't know still. You only give us bits of information. Like you're very stingy with your character development, sir.
I got a lot of people have said that to me. They're like, "Oh, this is a great starting point." I'm like, "Yeah, there's only so much you can fit on 24 pages. It's like maddening. It really is."
How far are you planning? Like everything works out, everything gets funded, everything goes the way you want. How many issues is this going to be?
When I started this, I was like, I'm going to do 12 issues or some crazy number. And then I did the first Kickstarter. I'm like, I'm going to do 6 issues. So, yeah, it's a lot of work. So I'm hoping to land this plane at 6 issues. Issue 2, which is running right now, is already funded. We're like 150% funded, which I'm so grateful for. Just trying to, rally people to hit some stretch goals. And you talked about that dynamic with Torch and Spark. Like that's a dynamic I'm going to explore and kind of maybe cause a little tension there. Really, for those who are like new to the book is about basically Torch Armstrong. It was a kid military star pilot. Like she was 11 years old, the best star pilot in the military. Until they forced her to retire for unknown reasons. And now that she's older, she just misses that adrenaline rush that being a star pilot gave her. So it explores the story of her trying to break out of that rut. And I just like DJ and Blake were talking about religious themes. My big theme, if you will, is just nostalgia. That feeling we get when we, crack open an old PS2 game, or we go back to an amusement park we haven't been since we were kids. We get a lot of nostalgia stuff like Stranger Things, but that's like nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. I wanted to explore the concept of nostalgia and just like, what would we do to recapture that feeling? Will it last? I've actually talked to experts in psychology about nostalgia and stuff like that. So I wanted to explore that theme of just trying to reclaim that feeling. And Torch is, there's that very one like poetic scene in the first issue that you referred to where she's literally reaching for the stars. That's the whole meat of the story. It's just exploring that concept and what lengths someone will go for it.
How fucking good did it feel to write that page in your script and get that image in your email one day? Because I feel like as a reader, that moment, man, that moment secured this series for me. Like I saw you on Twitter. I I stumbled across your post and saw some great art, and we talked for a second, and you graciously sent me 2 issues to read, and I appreciate that. But you know, like I saw some like high points already, but reading that and seeing that moment, like it was so perfect. Like it was, dude, it's fucking perfect. Like I write comic book reviews. There's not a lot of other ways for me to put that moment but like it felt warm in my chest, like there was water in my eyes, like that my mouth was parched, like there was so many elements of like great comic booking on that one page. And so like what did that feel like when you open that up in your email to like see that the first time?
It was just so important, and like I think I was one of the earlier scenes that I wrote, and it just landed. And one of the wild things is that the stars reflecting on the dashboard or the windshield, that wasn't my idea. That was actually the artist Tom Hoskison's idea.
Oh, cool.
And it just like blew me away. And I was like, oh, he gets it. And Red gets it too. So the second issue is more about kind of like, okay, we're back to reality and now you have consequences. I just wrote the rough draft for the 3rd issue, and I'm going to send it to my editor soon. And it circles back to those feelings and like explore those feelings of like, okay, now you did the thing. Now you're experiencing the consequences. How are we feeling? So, issue 3 it's coming out, it's in production right now, but, I'm really happy with how things are going. I'm really happy with the art, really happy with the Kickstarter campaign.
I love how excited your artist is in the comments of this shit.
Oh, Red
like that's this, ladies and gentlemen, like if you don't know like when a comic's fucking good, like but when the creative team is in the chat like hyping up the episode while the writer's in the interview, like Red says, I just want to tell I'm so freaking happy to work on this story. I adore all caps sci-fi, fell in love with this project, gave me the greatest joy to finally draw a badass spaceship comic. Not just that, but with a really great female protagonist who's drawn well, whose fiery red hair just fucking like echoes across the panels in the cosmos. Like it's so good. It's so fucking good. Like back this goddamn comic, ladies and gentlemen. Like all of this whole crew tonight. Like I don't think I hope listeners can pick up on like the talent that I accumulate to like bring on my show, but it also happens accidentally. I have a good idea of what good comics is, but like I stumbled across this because of the good parts of our community. Yes, there's a bad, nasty indie comic community. You stay away from that. Don't go there. But there's a goodness and a righteousness and a heartwarming mentality in a lot of indie comics. And there's so much out there. And there's so much that we're blind to, not because we're ignorant, not because we're full of ourselves, not because we're poor or don't have extra money. It's just there's just so much out there. You're gonna miss some things.
Yeah, you're like looking at it's like a forest of trees or whatever, and you got to stop and look at a tree or whatever that thing is. It's just too much.
Exactly.
There's so much out there. So
but
I'm glad to like connect with all these creators, and the creators are like equally supportive. I'm like Blake backing my first. He backed the first campaign. Like I'm like super appreciative of that. So like I'm curious what he thinks of it too. But if we have time or
Blake, did you read it?
Oh yeah, I mean, so I've read the first one, and I mean I backed the second one. I'm pretty sure on day one, or at least as soon as I, kind of could get around to it, because the first one was amazing. I mean, you guys have kind of hit on it, but it was just the heartfelt, I think kind of what we were talking about as far as like bringing joy back to comics. Like this is a comic that deals with some serious emotional issues, but there's so much of that just kind of joy and fun in it, and it that I think it was something that I loved the first one, and I came back as soon as I could for the second. So
like for issue 4 territory, maybe issue 3 of Torch, we have like a cross promotion print that Red can draw, maybe. Like can we like think that into existence and maybe join hands and sing the cosmic praises and make that happen, because I would be kind of stoked for that. Like just to see Torch maybe fighting some kaiju in her little fucking clever little sexy battleship. I don't know. That's just me. What do I know? I'm just a podcast host.
No, man, that's like AJ was saying. I think that's one of the great parts about this community is, it's everyone is supportive of each other, and you find these other creators, and that's like I said earlier, like that's where you learn. You just you pay attention, you find this stuff. There's so much amazing stuff out there, and people are willing to collaborate and learn and work together, and it makes it so much fun to be a part of it.
That's one of the things I love. Like it's a very warm pool of creativity, right? And it's like the good warm. It's not like the public pool warm where everybody like pissed in the pool and it's warm for bad reasons. Right?
Warm pool's an interesting metaphor.
Yeah. It's what I'm here for. I'm here to make it awkward. But no, it's so awesome. The creators that I've connected with from like referrals from other people, or like, hey Blake, check out this Kickstarter campaign or something, like it's so awesome. It's an infinitely deep well of crisp, cool water on a hot summer day, right? Like that's what it is, and luckily there's no like dead girls with long black hair like climbing out of that well coming through our TVs to terrorize us, right? Like we're in a warm, comfy spot of just
unless you want that.
Maybe in the fall, like when the horror comics come back. But like it's hot comic summer, baby. Like and that's what we're doing. We're dropping hot comics and of all different kinds, and with all different characters and all different creators. And I'm just so excited and privileged and happy that you guys are willing. I know this helps you a little bit. Like I'm not going to, fucking yank my own dick and be like, yeah, I get everybody rich and it's great. But I know this helps you guys a little bit. Like you do all these podcasts, you do all these shows, like that's how you get the word out for your comic. Like that's kind of how crowdfunding works. You take that on your own shoulders, but like, I feel privileged that talented creatives like you guys like are willing to give me the time of your day or stay up late at night like Leslie is, because he was the end of our cycle. Like I just went through the screen, but like to hang out with me and to be excited to listen to other people talk about their comics and excited to talk about your own comics. Like a thank you. Like and you guys make me feel cool. Like you really do. Like you make me feel like, I don't know, like I'm kind of important a little bit in the scene, and it's a joy to get to talk to you guys about storytelling and about the moves you make in your narratives and the changes that you make with plot beats and working with editors, working with these talented artists, the crazy shit that you guys make. Like I really want you to know that like when you guys talk to me about it, like I get those like warm, douchey, goofy feels like inside, right? Like the stupid little butterflies, right? Like I get the nerdy comic flutters and I'm really excited. Like it just gets me pumped up for indie comics, and everything is great unless you're my bank account. But other than that, like it's awesome. Like because I love backing these projects. I love the randomness. I love it's so different than, indie comics are great. And yes, like, the bigger publisher indie comics are awesome. And I read a lot of those too. And I read a lot of big stuff too. And I'm on a lot of press lists and I get to read a lot of comics and I'm blessed and I appreciate that. But guys, like the reason like, and I do, like, I sacrifice a portion of my paycheck, every paycheck to like back these Kickstarter funds is because you guys are doing something different, right? You guys are bringing a heavier aspect to the indie game, and maybe some of you pitched it to other people before and they said no, and that's even better because I love that you said fuck your no. Like fuck your no, I'm gonna fucking take this to crowdfunding and I'm gonna work 3 times harder. I'm gonna fucking get my comic put out whether I want to or not, and that is beautiful. That like if people don't see the beauty in that, if people get irritated because it takes too long to print or your fucking shipping costs were too high, like, sorry, fuck you. Like, fuck them. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you guys work so fucking hard to make your dreams come true. And you do that yourself. That's the beauty of crowdfunding. You do that yourself. You put that weight on your shoulders. You fucking walk out into the middle of the street and you try and sell your comic in the middle of the street. And you're like, hey, this is me. This is my story. Invest in me. That is phenomenal. Like, I really hope all of you know that is phenomenal. It's almost unfathomable. Like I have dreams of doing that. And I'm like, it scares me to like do that. Right. Like as someone who like wants to write indie comics, like it's intimidating. It's scary to think about doing that. And you guys are doing, you're not just thinking about it. You're doing it. You're making it happen.
I was in the same place you were in like a few years ago. This is my first story. And I actually wrote the script to Torch back in like 2015, and I just threw it in a drawer. And I just said, okay, no, that was cool. Moving on. And then it wasn't until like a few years later that, we're all pro mental health here. I was talking to my therapist, and they're like, AJ, it sounds like you have a fear of failure. And I was like, I guess you're right. And so I actually got the script back out, and I like saw more themes at play. So I edited it and then started doing it. So, Blake, I mean, you just got to start. Like, I think that's where you just got to start, open a Word doc and just go from there, man. Can't hurt.
Well, no pressure on your host. Thanks for that, AJ. No, I'm kidding. No, I actually do. Thank you for that. Like, I do appreciate it. But again, like, all you guys are doing cool stuff. Leslie, I'm sorry you were last. Like, I went in the clockwise motion, and you're the last one.
No worries. All
right. So after sitting there and just listening to me fucking ramble for an hour and a half, I'm sorry, but somebody's back with a new campaign, with a new IP, I guess, right? That's what we call those things. So we make it.
I guess in the Hollywood circles or something. I don't know. I'm just making
head cases, which is at a time where I think most of us have watched Stranger Things and we love these shenanigans that like younger children get into. It's like we love young human beings to get into these really dramatic and explosive,
really do,
and intense things, right? Like I'm fucking 36 and like I'm stressed at my day job, but like, dude, what if you were 12 and you found these heads in a bag that you stole from somebody on a subway, and then you ran off with them, and now they're chasing you, and you're like, yeah, like that's what I wish my fucking childhood was.
More or less.
but that's what you're doing right now, with head cases, right? That at least that's the kind of opening scene.
Yeah, that's the opening scene. Yeah, can I get things started really quick?
I'm guessing like, you're gonna. There's going to be some like tidbits and twists and turns and things that happen. I've read a few of your comments. I've read a bit of your stuff. I kind of know like how you play the game a little bit. You're good at like throwing in a hard right and throwing out our neck, right? Like get that whiplash going. And you're also working with a co-writer again. Do you like that? Because your last two campaigns you've had a co-writer. You worked with Doug previously, and now you're working with
both. It's just been kind of accidental. They're just like, hey, you want to co-write? I'm like, I guess sure, let's give it a shot. And so I've co-written 2 books now. Yeah, AJ hit me up. It's kind of funny. It wasn't that long after I started writing Savage Wizard with Doug. I think they kind of overlapped at a time. And so really? AJ was just like, you want to co-write? And I was like, yeah, we can figure something out. And so we started working on something. And that was initially like a fantasy comic, but AJ is doing like a fantasy sci-fi thing for IDW right now. So he kind of wanted to get away from that. So we pivoted, we scrapped that, and we kind of regrouped. And we were kind of thinking about a crime story, and then just out of nowhere, I think AJ who might have said, "What if we have some kids and they steal something? We're kind of figuring out our MacGuffin or whatever that thing they stole was, and like what if they steal a head?" And we kind of built the story around that premise of these kids stealing a head.
So is this going to be more like, is this more horror-esque or more crime narrative?
So despite the cover, it isn't really a horror story. It's definitely all crime.
Okay. I'm cool for that. Like,
yeah,
dude, unfortunately, what no one tells you, ladies and gentlemen, is crime does pay.
Yes.
Crime pays very well. If you're good at crime, it pays extraordinarily well. If you can write crime, it pays decently. So like, don't listen to your teachers. Don't listen to your priests. Don't listen to your mom and dad. Crime does pay. And we should all embrace crime comics, right? Like, we all know Ed Brubaker's name for a reason. And that's one of them.
True.
But this. Okay. So I'm actually even more excited about this now, because I was excited about it before. I like the preview pages. I love the fucking art. Oh my God. I love the art. I love the, it reminds me of, that Boom series that Grant Morrison just did. That's what the art reminds me of.
Everyone always says it could be a Boom book, so thank you. We've definitely heard that.
I mean, I feel like if people like, oh, this crowdfunding book looks great, it looks like it came out from Boom, like I wouldn't be like, shut your fucking mouth.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. You take that back, son of a, like, I feel like no one would really get that. Yeah, like no one would get that mad. Like, oh, cool, thank you for telling me this book looked like Image might put it out, or like, yes, this would be a good fit for Aftershock. I hope they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I love the art. It looks super great. I like your writing. I like AJ's writing. Other AJ, not AJ Rojec, but
AJ,
AJ O'Mason, who's also been on the show before. He was going to come on tonight, and he something came up,
had
maybe,
some work obligations. Yeah.
But he was like, I told him, I was like, he was like, hey Blake, can I come on too? I was like, I mean, there's going to be 7 of us, but I don't care. And because like when you get a higher, more people, you got to kind of juggle. It's hard to like make sure everybody gets the same amount of time, and I'm always worried that everybody's mad at me. But I was like, hey man, yeah, that's cool. But I can thank Travis Gibb for the podcast I did for Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. He brought 9 people on, and so it was me and 9 guests, and I was hammered because we all, like, everybody showed up like a half hour early, and we were all just talking and drinking in the green room, and then like the show started, and then it worked out, but it was just like I had 9 guests and I was drunk, and it ended up working. It worked till like the very end when I asked one of the writers like what they had going on, and I had just asked them the same question like 5 minutes before, and they gave me a little bit of shit, but it was like we were all friends, but it was cool. Anyways, but so yeah, like I'm really excited for this, and I'm also really excited about this because you are on a whole new platform.
Yes.
You're on Crowdfunder, so like, I'm gonna throw you under the bus, baby. Like, what's up? How did this happen? Like, your last campaign was a Kickstarter campaign. This campaign, you could have done Kickstarter, you could have done Zoop, or the Crowdfunder is the brand new one. What made you want to hop onto this train? Like, what did they like? Oh, please tell me. Like, do you give you like a fat ass check? Where they like,
I wish.
Like, what's up, Leslie? You got that fucking backpack full of heads. We got this backpack full of cash, baby. What's up?
That'd been sweet. Maybe next campaign. No, so pretty much, yeah, we were kind of gearing up for a Kickstarter campaign, but a friend of me and AJ's, Dave Baker, kind of reached out to us and just told us that Fundraiser is like the parent company of Crowdfunder, but told us that there's this new platform coming out, and with the kind of Kickstarter crypto stuff, like we were kind of open to kicking the tires on a new platform. Yeah. So we said, hey, why not? Well, let's, they're smaller, and so we had a meeting with them and talked to them, and that definitely kind of helped alleviate some of the concerns we had. That they pretty much said flat out in no fancy business language that they're not interested in, at least right now, entering into the NFT or crypto space or anything like that. So that was really cool, and just kind of what they showed us. Crowdfunder seems like really creator focused and all that, and just very open and transparent about all the stuff that they're working on. So we're really just excited to see what they had to offer. And so we launched yesterday, and so the crowdfunder the platform.
I like I like when you back the campaign, when you share it, and the automatic like generated tweet is like, I have the best taste in comics, and I just
that was me.
this.
So it's funny.
Oh, you get to design your own.
Yeah,
deal?
so you get to design your own whatever the things thing is. So that was just me being silly.
Oh, well, wow.
But yes, you do.
I was going to congratulate the platform. That's all you, baby. That's all Leslie.
Yeah, you do have exquisite taste, though, Blake.
but again, like that. I like that it gives. I mean, dude, we have options for everything right now, right? Like, you know, I've been messing around with Substack recently, and Substack gives you like cool kind of little kind of options like that. But that I like that would be a thing. You would think like Kickstarter would be like, oh yes, like if someone backs your campaign, design the retweet that they put.
Right. Yeah,
but you don't get to
things like that.
It's a template that gets, you know, regenerated. That's dope. So, okay, cool. So like, all right. So they're catering to the creators. Like that feels to be, they're also catering to the commercial, like to the people that are buying it, because this is one of the first crowdfunding deals where you can select, you could technically pick different tiers. You could like so buy multiple,
exactly. Which I'm surprised. Yeah. Again, that Kickstarter doesn't do also. That's another cool feature. If people are into buying multiple things, you're not locked into just one tier. You can get multiples, which is nice for consumers for sure.
How'd you hear about these guys? Because they were fairly new to me.
Yeah, so like I said, Dave Baker, who I know in art comic circles, had just kind of reached out to me. He was talking to them and said, "Hey, would you be interested in talking to him?" Like, you know, he wasn't like, "Hey, just go ahead and sign up." But he's like, "Would you be interested in talking to them?" So I had a meeting, me and AJ did, with the president, David Barak, I think is how you pronounce his name. And again, he just kind of walked us through what they're trying to do and said, "Yeah, we'll give it a shot."
He swept you off your feet.
Yeah, he did. He did a little bit.
That's cool though. That's good. Like that. I mean, as a writer, as a creator, it feels good to be seduced every now and then, right? Like, you guys got to do all this shit all the time, and like you're fucking dealing with stress 24/7, doing these interviews, trying to do your own press, trying to get your own shit out there. If a thing that wants to like help you do better and work for you, and like, you know, fills you up with that hot air, like go for it, baby. Like you guys deserve it.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, like, you know, he actually wasn't, you know, filling us up with smoke up our ass. I mean, he's pretty much like, "Hey, we're a new platform."
Oh yeah, not that kind of hot air. Like good, feel good hot
stuff.
air. No,
okay, yeah.
Sorry,
but like I like just
please
like
back Leslie. I gave him my credit card information, ladies and gentlemen. Like it's a safe, trustworthy source. I didn't mean that by any means.
No, you're good. But just like, you know, like just shooting things straight, and the fact that, hey, we're a new platform, we don't have the built-in audience that Kickstarter does. So I mean, it's going to be a little bit more of a hustle, or, you know, in order to get the word out and, you know, get, you know, heads into the back in the campaign. So there's definitely going to be a little bit more legwork on our part, but I figured, you know, got to at least give it an old college try at least one time.
I love that fucking phrase, the old college.
Yeah,
that's why I told you come on my show. No. But so like how, based off how things are going right now, because you're fresh, you're a weekend, right? You're about a weekend.
Just like this campaign. Is day 2.
Oh shit! All right, yeah, you're a whole week and / 2 days into the campaign. A Blake's Buzz week is 2 days, ladies and gentlemen. Like time flies by.
I mean, those are 2020 days. No, so I get in 2020, a week is 2 days.
Because I know they're doing that cool deal where you can do like the all or nothing, or you can do like however many people pre-ordered it. That's how much you'll print. They give you those options. I know.
So the nice
your
thing
campaign is all or nothing.
Yeah, we're doing all or nothing. They also have the Indiegogo option where you could, you know, take it all. So, but yeah, we did on all or nothing just so it wouldn't be, I don't know. I can only, the other way, this doesn't make sense to me, at least as a writer, you know, maybe for artists, you can kind of get with at that, but yeah, it's like all or nothing.
You're like, we're on the ledge or we're nowhere, but that's it. That's what we're doing. But what's cool is they're also doing, I know Indiegogo has a bad name or has a bad rap for working with some people, but Indiegogo also does a lot of cool things. And that, like, after the campaign wraps up, like, because I know you know, a lot of people will print extra copies of stuff for cons and do stuff like that, and so like Indiegogo will have a storefront for you after the campaign ends. So like if you miss the campaign, you could go buy a copy of the book right through Indiegogo, and that's also what Crowdfunder is doing. Like it also after the fact opens a storefront for you for additional people that like miss their chance.
Yeah. That's another, awesome feature that they have on there as well.
I like it. Like I like it. It smells good. It tastes good. It, you know, it feels good, right?
Yep.
It's hitting all all my erogenous zones. Right? I'm like feeling all giddy about it. But it feels like they. I mean, I feel like they know. They did a lot of research. They looked around, and like I mentioned earlier, like regardless of how you guys want to put out your comic, I still back a lot of Kickstarters. Okay. Like I disagreed with that
same.
Stuff
yeah. I'm still backing Kickstarter.
But I'm still backing Kickstarters. Like I'm not going to let fucking Blake hang for fucking like back. I'm not going to be like, hey, listen up other Blake. I'm not going to fucking back your campaign and buy an awesome fucking variant cover because of blockchain, because I don't even understand it and it makes me feel stupid, right? Like it's just that's what I don't like. I try and learn about this shit and it just makes me feel dumb.
Make you loopy.
So like I'm still backing a lot of Kickstarter campaigns. I backed a few Zoop campaigns. You're my first crowdfunder. But I have enough faith like in the people that are using it. Like I know it's safe, right? I'm not scared to put my credit card or PayPal info in, right? Like I don't feel dirty. I don't feel worried. And I like that there are other outlets for you guys to use, because I don't think it should just be one thing. I think, you know, I think you guys should have options. I really do. Like it's because it's your baby. Right. It's your baby you're putting out there, right? Like you want to bring your baby to the right hospital, I guess, if that's the right metaphor.
Yeah, options are nice. And, you know, like regardless of however things shake out, it's like when there's options, you know, it makes, you know, whoever the big dog is also kind of shake things up too. So options
they gotta fucking step up and keep things right too. Well, all right. So anyways, regardless of how you're putting this out, you got this new comic about kids getting weird shenanigans, which the world likes, because Stranger Things is top of the charts, and I just want to listen to fucking Kate Bush all day and cry. That's what I want to do, right? And that's where we're at as a country now. But so you have a new comic, and you also just put out an update for your previous comic.
Yeah, it's crawling towards the finish line.
Yeah. So are you were you nervous about that a little bit, about launching a new campaign but I mean your other one's in a good spot. Like you were very honest about your goal and your timeline previously. So like right now you're in a spot where like even if there's a delay, like it's not going to break, you know, people aren't going to like lose their faith in you.
Right. Yeah.
Because you were very honest initially.
I went to be upfront about it, definitely. And even just because we hadn't fulfilled, I didn't feel comfortable like promoting this one necessarily. So it's like, because that isn't fulfilled, I don't want to like tell people, hey, check out this other thing I'm working on. But like I was hoping that, you know, that we were like overselling at a time, but just COVID and other things popped up. And unfortunately that just kind of slowed Brian down. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, I'm staring at some gorgeous things right now. I'm just I know you just posted one. I love Brian. Brian's art's fucking gnarly. And so's your new Paolo
artist.
is also incredible. I'm just blessed to work with incredible collaborators like Paolo and
where you find these people at, man? Like the first time we talked, you're like, I'd heard, I'm not gonna lie, man, like when you had reached out to me initially, like when you were like, hey, I got this comic, and then I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, he was in Big Hype. Like, you know, like I kind of read, but like, you know, you're very connected. Once like,
I don't feel connected. Thank you.
I feel like you are. You're like, you got like, you know, you came out with Doug, and then I mean, you and AJ are you know, AJ just did a campaign, which both of you are good about doing promo. which I think helps. Like I think
I'm on the internet too much, of course.
Yeah, you're both getting your names out there, which is smart, you know. But yeah, it just feels like a lot of indie comics people know your stuff, and you have like a lot of people like behind you championing your success, and that's really cool. Like I mean, and it makes sense.
It feels like surreal sometimes, but yeah, I definitely appreciate all the championing, like you said, that people do.
Because it just didn't, you know, when I first heard about you, I was like, okay, and then but then like, you know, after I heard about you, like I'm like, oh, all these other like indie creators I follow know you, and then a lot of these indie creators are like excited for the stuff you're doing. And that's part of how literature is, right? Is networking. That's part of why we're here. But so yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people that believe in you, and you also have like really good ideas, and I know, and we also just I haven't got to read it yet, but Off Into the Sunset, we all got digital files of that.
Yeah, I read that finally. That was gorgeous.
And you're in that as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so
some awesome collaboration with Alex Schlitz in there, and I reread my story. It's like, damn, I'm a good writer. Nice when you feel that, yeah.
But no, like I like that though. Like I like that you did some anthology work, and then you've also like branched out into your own stuff, and you're just like out in the indie field. You're just out there. You're just out there trying to exist, baby. You're like
running up that hill.
Like, hi guys, my name's Leslie. I got these comics here, but we got some cool fucking comics. And I'm excited for this one too, because I like that you took a risk on Crowdfunder. And I think that a lot of people seem to like their vibe. And I hope that helps your campaign. Just because like just like with Zoop, like a lot of people were worried about Zoop. And like I said, I put my credit card info in, nothing bad happened. Like I've gotten comics from Zoop and they're real. Right. And so like, I have no doubts that Crowdfunder is going to be the same. I put my credit card number in, I backed your campaign. I'm excited for it. And I really hope that a lot of other people take that risk, just because Crowdfunder sounds really cool. It sounds like it really cares about the creatives, and, you know, like, just let's get more people opportunities to put some indie comics out in the world. What's the harm in that? Yeah. What's the harm in that to like help other people get more indie comics out? Like, I just feel like that's a good thing.
They have, like you said, a great vibe. There's some awesome comics on there besides ours. Ryan K. Lindsay has a story called
yeah, he's got a new one shot.
It looks gorgeous. And also Mark O. Stack has I think it's called Madness. It's like something about Dionysus that looks gorgeous as well. So yeah, some good stuff on there besides Head Cases.
Wow, that's crazy. Rachel Pollack has a new Dionysus story out too through Comixology Unlimited.
Man, Dionysus is popular right now.
Yeah, he's popping. Everybody's excited about the party god, baby.
There's an aftershock book coming out later this year about Dionysus too. So yeah, wow. Something in the water.
So something we need to drink it. Something's in the water, and we need to drink it. Anyway, but so all right. Guys, I know we're coming on 3 hours. I'm sorry. This is the bad part about having too many awesome people on the show. Like everybody's great, but then we all talk too long. So I want to go through. We're going to go opposite the order that we just went through, and I want everybody to remind us of why we're here, why we need to give you money, and where to find you online. All right, we got that. We're like, why we're here, why we should give you money, where we find you online. Leslie, what's up, baby? Where we get you at?
Here because of Head Cases. It's a beautiful, crazy, manic crime thriller with two kids that make some very bad decisions that lead to a hitman chasing them all throughout New York. And also there's FBI agents and a psycho cult involved as well. We are on Crowdfunder. You can find the comic at headcasescomic.com. I'll redirect you to our Crowdfunder page. I'm, as you can see on the screen, at Les Wright on the internet everywhere pretty much. Come find me.
Find him. He's super nice to talk to online, ladies and gentlemen. He's a really good dude. I'm really stoked about this comic. Crowdfunder has not stolen my identity or money or anything else yet. So like, just give him your credit card info. It's going to be okay. Back these comics, get some good comics because it's hot comic summer, baby. All right. That's what we're doing. Leslie, I'm so stoked for this. I'm so stoked for you. I just think you're fucking awesome. You're always so nice and like happy and excited about comics and life and just a good person. And thanks for coming back on my show, man. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure always. Thanks for having me again, Blake.
And again, like the next one, whether it's crowdfunder, Kickstarter, Zoop, or if you find another place to fucking sell some indie comics, yes. You're always welcome on Blake's Buzz.
Next one be out of my trunk.
On the side of the street at exit 69. Sorry, I don't know why I went exit 69. I just went back to grade school for a second because I'm a child. Anyway, Leslie, I'm super stoked. I'm really excited for this comic, and you got a backer out of me, and I hope you got some backers from some people that are listening. DJ, what's up, sir?
I'm DJ Wooldridge. We're here for Hellbent. You can check it out at hellbentcomicbook.com. It's a crazy supernatural thriller with a trans woman with incredible supernatural powers and an occult hitman on the run. We're on Kickstarter. Again, hellbentcomicbook.com. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash.
Oh, that's such a good name. God, fuck Blake's Buzz, man. You guys always have better names than I do. I need to get my shit together. Rebrand. No, I can't. I've spent. That sounds exhausting. Anyway, yes, Hellbent 1 was so great, ladies and gentlemen. It's a double-sized comic. It was printed as wonderfully as you could appreciate it. Cardstock covers, super thick pages, colors, inks, letters, everything looked great. Story was fun. It makes you think about faith differently, makes you question your own ideas of faith and gender, and also it reminds you that it's okay to be different. And in this day and age, like, it really sucks, but we still need that reminder, unfortunately, because there's a lot of assholes out there. And guess what? It's okay to be different, no matter what those assholes say. That's all I got. That's all Papa Buzz has. All I can say is that DJ's comic is full of cultish endeavors, wonderfully religious narratives, twists and turns, and interesting dialogue and interesting backstory. And I can't recommend it enough, man. You got a really cool comic, and I'm stoked for volume 2. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
All right, Mr. AJ, where do we find you at? Where do we keep track of all your comic book business? How do we give you money? Most importantly,
you can give it to me in a comically large bag with a $sign on it. Great. My name is AJ Rojec. I wrote Torch Reclaim the Skies, which is now on Kickstarter. We are well past funded. Now we're doing stretch goals. So please come check it out. Give it a look. Got some great art. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so here. I am AJ Rojec's Comics. If you want to just like see everything Torch, there's like a link tree. It's called torchrts.com, and it has all the things that you would possibly ever want Torch related. And yeah, the Kickstarter's going on right now, so just give Torch a little Google search and check it out. And I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, reclaim the skies, motherfuckers, because we got to get those skies reclaimed. Guys, so good. Did I mention that already? Torch Reclaim the Skies is so good. Get issue 1, get issue 2. There's some foil covers. If you got a little bit extra scratch, get those foil covers, baby. If you can only get the A covers, they're super gorgeous too. But he's got some cool variants. He's got some cool bonuses. He's got some cool t-shirts. There's some things. If you got that money burning a hole in your pocket, you can dump it on Torch. And I got all the faith in the world for this comic, because issue 1 and issue 2 were so gorgeous, so well done, and paced so incredibly well. I just want to hop in that spaceship and fly around. And AJ made me feel that. He made me feel like I was in a spaceship flying around, and that my shitty day job didn't matter, and that stupid bullshit drama didn't matter. And then all I was just wrapped up in was this fucking cosmic daydream. And it was great. And I want everybody to fucking go back this comic, because it's so cool. It's so cool, and it's so well done. And so many more people need to read it and experience what this creative team has to offer. And I really hope a lot of our listeners check that out, because AJ, you got a good thing. You got a good thing in your pocket, man. And you got a great art team. And you got a good attitude, and And for some reason you're all super humble about it too, because I sure as fuck wouldn't be. I'd be like, yes, I'm writing the best sci-fi comic on Kickstarter right now. Okay, thanks, Blake. Sure, like that's how I would be. But no, you're very like down to earth and chill, and you're a pleasure to talk to, and I really hope everybody gives your comic a chance because it deserves it. And if you're not gonna give Torch a chance, then just unfollow me. Unsubscribe to me on YouTube. Get fucked somewhere. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, but also don't. I need followers. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, it's good. It's good. You guys need to check it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Wyndi Gale. Are you still here? I'm sorry.
I'm still here.
All right. That's
okay. I've been enjoying it.
Where do we keep track of you? Where do we keep track on all your upper echelon fantasy shenanigans? Like tell us where to keep track of you.
Well, mostly on Facebook. I do have a Twitter, but I almost never go on there. I don't know why. Just never got in the habit of it. But I'm on Facebook, Wyndi Gale. I post stuff on there almost every day, updates, whatever about the Kickstarter, about what I'm writing, what's coming up, that kind of stuff. So you can follow me on there. And if you just want to give me money, I got Cash App and PayPal, but I, of course, rather you pledge to the Kickstarter and get a book for it. So,
yeah. Feel free to give her money just randomly, but also back to Kickstarter because it looks exciting and I'm stoked for it. And I again, we mentioned this before. I want those patches. I want to be there for 1 through 3. Like, I would like to get this novella. I would like to get all 3 novellas. So let's make sure they all get back. Let's make sure we make it happen. Cause I love to spend money on Kickstarter, ladies and gentlemen. Preferably on good things. Like I've got some lemons. I won't call anybody out, but but most of my Kickstarter, money has been well spent. And I'll die on that hill. Like most of the stuff I get on Kickstarter has been great and fun and eye-opening and different and just absolutely enjoyable. And this feels like one of them. Viserion Tales was like, it feels fun. I want to experience the different mediums of it. I want to experience the graphic narrative. I want to experience the prose, right? I want to talk to the community. I want to hang out with the people that also went into this endeavor. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe later they'll fucking drop like a RPG tabletop campaign or something. Cause I feel like that's where it all started. And then maybe if they get that itch later, once the trade paperback funds or something, maybe we get a campaign narrative or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. I just want more of this world. That's all I can say. I don't know.
Duly noted. And thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on my show tonight. I'm so excited about where your campaign's at right now. Again, I feel like you're going to have some stretch goals. I know a little bit about a little bit and not a lot about not a lot. But I feel like this I know a little bit about, and it feels like none of that made any sense. But I feel like people will dig your comic book. Long story short, I feel like people are going to dig this, and I really hope you guys check it out. Art team is stellar. It's going to be a beautiful book to read. And Wyndi apparently has just fucking stories for days tucked in her back pocket, waiting for stretch goals and waiting for future campaigns. So if you guys like fantasy, there's really no reason not to give this team of people your money. And that's, all right. I feel like that's a smart thing to say. They just give you money.
I'll take it.
Right. Yeah. We'll take it. I'll take it. Well, Wyndi, thank you so much. And last but not least, the other Blake. There's a Blake Morgan. There's a Blake McCarthy. There's 2 Blakes on this fucking show right now. Both of them love kaijus. Both of them love comics. Both of them have weird shit to say about faith and all that weird fucking human shit that makes us wake up every day and live our lives and do all that good stuff. Territory number 3 is out right now. There are catch-up tiers. There are variant catch-up tiers. You can get all the fucking territory you ever wanted. You can get more territory than you ever wanted. All you got to do is click that little fucking clicker finger on Kickstarter and make it go. Blake, where's a good, other than Kickstarter, where do we find you? Where do we keep track of you? Where do we secure our spot in the lineup for these final 2 issues that we all have to have.
So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both of them are just at BMC Comics, BMCCOMICS. And and if you literally want yourself in issue 4, there is a draw yourself into it tier. So I'll just plug that real quick. You can see your beautiful smiling faces in there if you want. But I appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's fun. It was really cool getting to hear everyone's process, and there's a lot of good stuff out there right now. So just I hope everyone is looking and is trying to find something new and something interesting to get into.
Blake is right. There's a lot of good stuff out there right now, and some of the best stuff out there right now, in my humble opinion, is Viserion Tales. Is Torch Reclaim the Skies issue 1 and 2? Is Hellbent issue 2? But if you want issue 1, you can still get it, baby, because he's got catch-up tiers like the great Kickstarters do. We've got Territory 3. You can get 1, 2, and 3 if you missed it before. If you missed it, you need to get on this apocalyptic train to Crazyville because it's good as fuck. And then we've got Head Cases, Leslie Julien's next Kickstarter, which is on Crowdfunder, which is going to get you all sorts of cool stuff if you want to pay a couple extra bucks. And it's going to give us a really cool narrative about fucking kids getting into weird ass situations, which we all seem to love right now because we're all old and dying and fragile. So we want to go back to our youth where things are crazy and new and unique and life isn't a fucking burden of bills and chaos and everything else. Everybody on this panel tonight, including AJ, who also has fucking Torch. We're taking back the skies. We're taking back sci-fi. We're taking back everything. Give all these people your money, ladies and gentlemen. These are fucking great comics that you can't find in stores right now. Maybe one day you will, but you don't want to fucking wait for that. You want to fucking hop over to these crowdfunders. You want to fucking back this. You want to get these comics on your shelves, in your short boxes, bagged and boarded for you to enjoy. And maybe buy a t-shirt because AJ's got t-shirts too. All of you guys, you are so talented. You're so fun. You are such good people. This was such a joy to talk to all of you. You guys and gals make me excited for indie comics. I really hope you know that. I really hope you know that I see your sweat, blood, and tears and enjoy flipping their pages while you sweat, cry, and bleed. I just want you to know, I find enjoyment in that. No, but all of you guys, thank you so much. Anything Blake's Buzz can ever do for you, I am here for you. Future campaigns, I'm excited about. I really, 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 really hope all my listeners check these guys out. They're all talented. They're all good people. They're all worth your money. And on that note, we did it, ladies and gentlemen. We fucking did it. And David Hazan appreciates it. And now finally, I don't know if you guys have been on a show before, but I have an intro and an outro. And guess what? I love everybody. Love more, hate less, read comics, baby. We're here for you.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.